Chapter 327. The ice blue light that filled the arena due to Bing Ling's ice dochi seemed to have seen something terrifying when this figure came in between Wu Yan and Bing Ling. Even the speed of the light slowed down by more than a percentage point. The pressure on the opponent also weakened by more than a notch. The effect on the opponent was reduced to a negligible level. At least, that's what Wu Yan felt. This phenomenon shocked Wu Yan. He knew that the reason the ice blue light was suppressed to this extent was because of the figure that came in between him and Bing Ling. That figure seemed to have brought the entire world of ice and snow with her. She was dressed in a special student uniform with a white coat with golden edges. A luxurious hairband decorated with specks of golden ice crystals was tied around her long blue hair that flowed down like a waterfall. She looked as if she was wearing an ice crystal crown, extremely noble and elegant. Under that long icy blue hair was a face that could be called peerless in the world. It was as noble and cold as a snow lotus. Her snow-white skin, under the reflection of her long icy blue hair, was as white as snow. If one had to find a flaw on this face, it would be that on such a beautiful face, there was no smile. Not to mention a smile, even the slightest bit of emotion could not be found. There was only coldness, an extreme coldness that was enough to freeze all emotions. Gorgeous! It also exuded an icy beauty. The appearance of the beautiful figure did not only bring about the stagnation of the ice-blue flowing light in the arena, it also brought about a collective stupor for everyone in the arena, as well as the students below the 5th floor, including the girls. Wu Yan is one of the members of the Demented Guild. Of course, the reason why Wu Yan was stunned was different from the other students. The other students were stunned because of the girl's beauty. Wu Yan was stunned because of the information he received from the system. Sylph? Ailu. Level 72, Level 72. She's a rank 8 powerhouse. Wu Yan's pupils shrunk as he felt a bit of shock in his heart. How could he not be shocked? From the uniform she was wearing, it could be seen that she was a student. A student's identity could be deciphered quite a bit of information. For example, this girl was not yet 25 years old. A rank 8 powerhouse under 25 years old. Lightly exhaling, as if he wanted to vent out all the shock in his heart, he looked at this beautiful girl who is as cold as an ice mountain and bitterly smiled inside. True geniuses still exist. It seems like I underestimated Silveria. I thought I was at the highest level among my peers. Who would have thought that there would always be someone better than me in this world? Well, it seems like I'm right here. After smiling bitterly, Wu Yan felt relieved. The Spalier World Academy is a gathering place for all the geniuses in the Spalier world. It's not strange to have a genius like her. He just doesn't know how many geniuses there are in the Spalier World Academy. Wu Yan glanced at Bing Ling on the other side of the iceberg girl, and he laughed in a weird manner. Well, at least there won't be more than 9 of them. Wu Yan, who's letting his imagination run wild, didn't notice that the iceberg beauty, who came out of nowhere, is also looking at him. Her eyes that will never thaw froze for less than 0.1 seconds for a split second. It was probably because this was the first time she saw someone who didn't stare at her when they saw her. Of course, Ice Maiden didn't know that Hinajiku and Mikoto were slightly younger than her in terms of looks, but Ikaros, Astria, and Shokuha Misaki didn't lose out to her in terms of looks. Wu Yan, who had already eaten 2 of them, naturally, his appetite grew. At the very least, if she wanted to use her looks to make Wu Yan lose his composure, she might have been able to do so in the past. But now, it's hard to do so. Of course, Wu Yan's performance was only enough to make the girl give him a sidelong glance. Compared to Wu Yan, Bing Ling's reaction was a lot worse. He looked at the girl in a daze. The do-chi that Bing Ling had just condensed around his body started dispersing into the air along with his master's dazed state. After some time, Shoujo, Mikoto, and Feifei were the first to react. Feifei cried out in shock. Princess Sylph. The mention of Princess Sylph brought everyone back to their senses. However, after they were called back, a series of screams followed. Princess. Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched when he heard this. When he saw the surname Ailu, which is the same as the Ailu Empire's surname, he guessed that this guy is a member of the royal family. Princess Sylph. Bing Ling couldn't help but lower his head in embarrassment. After all, this wasn't the first time he met Princess Sylph. It's just that every time they meet, he would always behave in this manner. This caused him to feel embarrassed and angry at himself for behaving in such a manner. She's a princess? Mikoto pointed at Princess Sylph with an expression as if she was deceived by the world. It's obvious that the word princess had a huge impact on her. They are both princesses after all. It's just that one is Tokuwadai Middle School's electric princess, the other is Ailu Empire's ice princess. Both of them are princesses, but the difference is huge. At the very least, Mikoto's carefree personality has nothing to do with being a princess. She is indeed beautiful, princess. Shoujo has already categorized the word beautiful and princess in her mind. Princess Sylph's icy blue eyes widened. Her expression was as cold as ice. After a while, she spoke with a heavenly voice. The duel ends here, huh? Quite a number of people started making confused noises. Even Wu Yan and Bing Ling, who are still in the arena, looked confused. Bing Ling wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by a frowning Wu Yan. Why? Wu Yan frowned as he looked at Princess Sylph. He doesn't seem to know her. She doesn't seem to be close to Bing Ling either. What reason does she have to stop the duel? Sylph turned her head and looked at Wu Yan. Then, she turned back to Bing Ling. Your opinion? Bing Ling panicked as if he encountered a difficult situation. It seems like Sylph's words and his duel with Wu Yan are on the same page. Wu Yan's mouth twitched. After a while, Bing Ling sighed helplessly. Since it's Princess Sylph's opinion, I have no objections. Sylph turned her head and looked at the referee as if she had expected this. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the referee shrugged nonchalantly. Since that's the case, let's end this duel here. Wu Yan gaped at the judge. He couldn't help but flip the 12 tables in his mind. What's going on? Even if you're biased, you can't be so biased. You're the referee. Where's my opinion? Sylph seemed to have seen through Wu Yan's thoughts. She turned around and spoke with a calm voice. If you really want to duel, wait until the academy event. Wu Yan flinched when he heard this. He couldn't stay calm anymore. Isn't the game the only event? Is the academy having an event as well? Chapter 328. Just like that, an exceptionally exciting battle ended hastily with the interference of the second person. This made all the students, who had been looking forward to it, feel a little disappointed. Of course, if the person who stopped the duel wasn't Princess Sylph, the students wouldn't just be disappointed. They might even have the urge to throw beer bottles at her. No, not everyone was disappointed. Wu Yan wanted to throw a beer bottle at Princess Sylph's head. It wasn't easy to find a worthy opponent. Even his ranking was very high. If he could defeat him, he would be able to complete the fight for a ranking mission. He would also be able to gain a lot of points. Now that the duel ended abruptly, it's as if his points grew wings and flew away. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If his opponent wasn't a cute girl. Character, Wu Yan ability, True Ancestor Bloodline, Infinite Arms, Electromancer, LV5, Equipment, Shana the Emperor, C rank, Dragon Armor, C rank, Meteor Shower, B rank, Summons, Misaka Mikoto, Gue Chuju Ikaros, Astria, Flandra, Scarlet Shokuho Misaki, Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku, Misaka Sister, 20,000 Equipment Points, 481000 Item Points, 660000 Ability Points, 181000 Summoning Points, 350000 Level, 68. It wasn't until he saw that his character status had increased by quite a bit that his gloomy mood eased up a little. Whatever, it's just going to be the same when that event starts anyway. Wu Yan looked at Sylph and asked, Your Highness, why did you stop my duel? Sylph turned silent with her back facing Wu Yen. Wu Yen thought Sylph was trying to think of something to say. Who would have thought that Sylph would walk away from the arena? Wu Yen raised an eyebrow. He felt like he was being trampled by a million alpacas. Seeing how Princess Sylph ignored him, Wu Yen had the urge to push her down and spank her ass. After taking a few deep breaths, Wu Yen told himself not to be calculative with a woman. He mumbled to himself as he walked off the stage. On the other hand, Mikoto and Sylph, who had already reached the bottom of the stage, both of them stopped at the same time. Everyone looked at the two women who were behaving strangely. Countless question marks appeared on their heads. It was obvious that they were confused again. Suddenly Sylph said, "You are very strong." Everyone was stunned when they heard Sylph's words. When they regained their senses, their hearts were filled with shock. No matter how dumb they are, they finally understood that the new special student who came with Wu Yen has been acknowledged by Princess Sylph. Inside the arena tower, the way the students look at Mikoto has completely changed. There's awe, shock, and even longing in their eyes. Wu Yen was surprised by their reaction. He looked at Sylph with suspicion. Does this Ailu princess have a dark history? Mikoto, on the other hand, wasn't surprised by Sylph's words. She tilted her head and her eyes flashed with battle intent. "You're pretty strong too. Do you want to duel me?" Mikoto asked with an excited tone. "You're pretty strong too." That one sentence caused an uproar among the students on the 5th floor. Is there going to be a battle that will surpass all previous battles? Sylph shook her head at Mikoto's words and walked towards the teleportation circle. Her voice echoed in everyone's ears. "All right, let's go. You will have your chance." Hearing this, everyone's expression was different. But there was one thing that couldn't be changed, and that was, Mikoto had become the center of attention. What? Mikoto pursed her lips in disappointment and dissatisfaction. She crossed her arms and said something that made Wu Yen and Shoujo not know whether to laugh or cry. "It's not like you're going to die from a fight." Shoujo rolled her eyes at Mikoto. She then said in a serious tone, "However, that Princess Sylph is strong." Hearing that, Fei Fei couldn't help but laugh. She then said something that would shock people to death. How can she not be strong? Princess Sylph is number 1 on the ranking list. Number 1. Shoujo and Mikoto were shocked. Even Wu Yen was shocked. Number 1 on the ranking list? That means... That's right. Fei Fei nodded solemnly. She looked at Sylph's back as she walked towards the teleportation formation. Fei Fei spoke in a solemn tone. Princess Sylph is the strongest student in the entire Spalier World Academy. Wu Yen, Shoujo, and Mikoto lowered their heads and looked at Sylph until she disappeared into the teleportation formation. "The strongest," Mikoto muttered. Then, a blue and white electric current flashed in front of her forehead. Her mouth pulled up into a smile. Her brown eyes were filled with excitement. Wu Yen looked at Mikoto and recalled the image of the Ice Snow Princess. His lips also curled into a faint smile. Things are getting more and more interesting. Shoujo helplessly facepalmed after seeing Wu Yen and Mikoto's reaction. Fei Fei smiled and said with a headache, "Two problem children." At this time, Bing Ling brought Bing Mian and the people from Sea of Dense Ice over. There are also people from the other 7 factions. Fei Fei frowned when she saw this. She wanted to say something but Wu Yen stopped her. Wu Yen and Bing Ling looked at each other. After a while, Bing Ling said, "Since Princess Sylph has interfered, I will not interfere. I'm sure the others will do the same. Let's leave our duel for the student event." Wu Yen shrugged when he heard this. He looked at the people from the other factions and sighed. As expected, the words of a beautiful woman are so effective. "They won't bother me anymore," Bing Ling continued. "Of course, a duel is a duel. I still want to ask you, do you want to join Sea of Dense Ice? Big brother!" Bing Mian couldn't help but call out. Bing Ling glared at him, and he shut up. The other faction's leaders were shocked and started to get anxious. They recognized Wu Yan's strength. He can definitely be ranked in the top 10. Which faction wouldn't want such a person? The other faction's leaders wanted to extend an invitation, but Wu Yan beat them to it. Wu Yan looked at the leaders of the various factions and he grinned. I still stand by my words. If you can defeat me, I will join you. Wu Yan's words made the leaders realize that they can't just rely on their mouth. The other special students that followed him probably felt the same way as well. Thinking of this, the leaders didn't say anything. After all, Wu Yan's identity is no longer as simple as a new special student. None of them dared to look down on Wu Yan. Naturally, they wouldn't ignore his words. They exchanged some pleasantries and left. Only Wu Yan, Shoujo, Mikoto, Feifei and the people from Deadly Forest were left. Wu Yan looked at Feifei and said, Feifei, what is this school activity? Feifei pondered for a moment before saying, to put it simply, the academy will hold 3 activities every year to promote the progress of the students. As long as you participate in these activities and meet the requirements of the activities, you will be able to receive rewards from the academy, such as academic credits or precious treasures. And this year, there is an activity called the School Tournament. School Tournament. Wu Yan, Hinajuku, and Mikoto looked at each other and they all grinned. Chapter 329. A lively day at Spalier World Academy came to an end just like that. Students continuously walked out of the entrance of the arena tower. At this moment, the sky had already darkened slightly. People were walking in groups of 2 or 3 as they chatted enthusiastically about the events that had happened in the arena tower. Wu Yan's achievements alone are enough to make him the hottest topic in Spalier World Academy. Defeating all the challengers, defeating the second leader of Sea of Icicles, fighting with the first leader of Sea of Icicles. And finally, Princess Sylph, the strongest student in the academy. Of course, the most important thing was still the news of the new special student joining the faction. And now the results were out. None of the forces had succeeded. However, there was another group of people who had a different opinion. They believed that with the current situation, the new special students would most likely join the Deadly Forest. After all, they have a good relationship with each other. In the end, the question of joining a faction got an answer that doesn't really count as an answer. But for Wu Yan, today's day was worth it. Not only did he get a lot of points, but he also got close to 300,000 academic credit. This is a sum of credits not inferior to the mission reward. That's why Wu Yan's smile didn't stop on the way back to his villa. It's already good enough that he got so many points in one day. However, when Wu Yan pushed open the door to his villa, he couldn't bring himself to smile. Instead, he was stunned. Big brother! It's not a surprise that someone is calling him Oni-chan. Flandre-chan has always been calling him Oni-chan. However, when she called him Oni-chan twice, he couldn't help but be surprised. Yes, twice. Needless to say, it's Flandre-chan. As for the other one, it's also someone he knows. She's wearing a white uniform with golden edges. She has long golden hair and a small figure. It's Liren. Liren! Hinajuku and Mikoto squealed in surprise. Liren, who hasn't been around for a long time, is now playing around with Flandre-chan in Wu Yan's villa. How can the two girls not be surprised? Chuju Jejia. Mikoto Jejia. Little Liren couldn't help but cheer as she threw herself into Hinajuku's embrace. She smiled happily as she rubbed her face against Hinajuku's small chest. It's obvious that little Liren also missed everyone quite a bit. Hinajuku stroked Liren's soft golden hair and couldn't help but smile. It's great to see you so energetic. Little Liren kept nodding her little head, revealing a big smile, telling everyone that she was living a good life, and also making everyone laugh. Looking at Flandre-chan's uniform, Wu Yan was a little surprised. He smiled and said, "Little girl, I didn't expect you to be a special student as well. Looks like you have a lot of potential. If Uncle Gray knew how much potential you have, He would be very happy. Liren puffed up her chest and said proudly. Of course. Liren is also very strong. Feifei Jejie and Lulu Jejie also said that Liren is very strong. Mikoto smiled and asked. Oh right, Liren, where do you live now? Do you live alone? Hinagiku also looked at Liren. Special students can get their own villa, and since Liren is a special student, she should get one as well. But to say that she lives alone, they don't believe it. After all, Liren isn't independent yet, and this isn't Academy City. As expected, Liren shook her head and said, I live with Lulu Jejie and Feifei Jejie. I also joined Feifei Jejie and Lulu Jejie's deadly forest, I see. Wu Yen and the others understood. Liren turned her head and looked behind Wu Yen, Mikoto, and Shoujo. She looked around as if she was looking for something. Where's Sylph Jejie? Why didn't she come back with everyone? Wu Yen, Shoujo, and Mikoto were stunned when they heard Liren call her Sylph Jejie. Sylph Jejie? Wu Yen looked at Liren and asked. Little girl, did you just say Sylph Jejie? Yes. Liren nodded when she heard Wu Yen. She tilted her head and asked. Big brother, you don't know Sylph Jejie? Didn't Sylph Jejie help me look for you? Look for us. Wu Yen, Shoujo, and Mikoto looked at each other. Wu Yen took 2 steps forward and asked. You said she was looking for us? Could it be that you sent Princess Sylph to us? Liren nodded and smiled. What? Big brother and big sister know Sylph Jejie? It seems like she really did help me look for you. That's great. Great? Not at all. Wu Yen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He finally understood why Princess Sylph, the strongest student in the group, would stop his duel with Bing Ling. It turned out that the culprit was this little Liline. Wu Yen looked at Liren helplessly. Little girl, why did you ask Princess Sylph to look for us? Hearing this, little Liline was stunned for a moment. She then said something that made everyone almost spit out their rice. Huh? Big brother, I thought you were being bullied? Wu Yen couldn't help but roll his eyes as he looked at Flandre-chan in an annoyed manner. Who told you I was being bullied? Little Li-Lin was stunned for a moment and raised her hand weakly. That's what everyone said. Everyone. It's everyone from the deadly forest. Liren lifted her head from Chuja's embrace and knocked on her head as if she was trying to recall something. Everyone in Deadly Forest said that you're going to fight with a lot of people and you're going to be taught a lesson. That's why I asked Sister Sylph to help me get you guys back. Hearing Liren's words, Wu Yen lifted his head and looked at the ceiling. His face was filled with sadness. It's because of the people from Fatal Forest. It's not surprising that Fatal Forest thought that Wu Yan's challenge to all the major powers is a thankless task. In other words, they don't think Wu Yan's chances are very high. When their words reached Liren's ears, it became a matter of Wu Yan being bullied by others. The more he thought about it, the more Wu Yen believed it to be the case. His face turned green, red, purple, and white. In the end, all that was left was helplessness. In the past, there were so many special students with so many credits placed in front of me, but I didn't cherish them. It was only until I missed them that I realized that the culprit was actually someone from my own nest. Wu Yen pursed his lips and sighed. He looked at Liren weakly. Then, little girl, how did you get to know Princess Sylph? Princess Sylph is the strongest student in Spalier World Academy. She's the princess of the Ailu Empire. With her strength and background, she should be the leader of the Ailu Empire's faction in Spalier World Academy. And how could such an extraordinary person know little Liren? Furthermore, he was able to accept Liren's request? Hinagiku and Mikoto also looked at Liren curiously. How did Liren manage to hook up with such an amazing person? Who knew? Under everyone's gaze, Liren blushed and stuttered. I got lost in the academy and accidentally walked into Sister Sylph's villa. That's how I got to know Sister Sylph. Wu Yen and the other two stumbled and fell to the ground. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As expected, Lolas are all heaven-defying existences. Chapter 330. Early in the morning, the door to one of the rooms in the villa slowly opened with a soft sound. Wu Yen walked out of his room and slowly walked down the stairs. As he walked, Wu Yen stretched and yawned. There was even a teardrop at the corner of his eye. It seems like Wu Yen didn't want to wake up this early. As an otaku, even though he's no longer an otaku, Wu Yen hasn't given up on the habit of sleeping in. It can be said that waking up this early can be described as a miracle for Wu Yen. As he slowly walked down the stairs, the living room of the villa appeared in front of Wu Yen. There, Shoujo, Mikoto, and Ikaros are sitting at a table with breakfast in their hands. Flandre-chan is sitting obediently on a chair with a piece of cake in her mouth. Oni-chan. The first one to notice Wu Yan's appearance is Flandre-chan. Flandre-chan was stunned for a moment before a smile bloomed on her face. She quickly stood up from her chair and shouted loudly before throwing herself at Wu Yen. Seeing Flandre-chan's four limbs spread out and throwing herself at him, Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't dare delay. His originally lazy footsteps quickened, and he reached out to catch Flandre-chan in his arms. Flandre-chan giggled and subconsciously rubbed her face against Wu Yan's chest. What she didn't know is that her mouth is full of cream. Wu Yan was shocked and quickly grabbed Flandre-chan's head to prevent her from being attacked by the cream. Looking at the slightly dissatisfied Flandre-chan, Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I say, Flandre-chan, your mouth is full of cream and you're still rubbing your face against my chest, you're so naughty. Flandre-chan touched the corner of her mouth and she giggled bashfully. Wu Yan chuckled and he pinched Flandre-chan's nose lovingly. Then, he wiped the corner of her mouth. After helping Flandre-chan tidy up, Wu Yan turned to look at Shoujo, Mikoto, and Ikaros. What he saw made Wu Yan speechless. He saw Shoujo and Mikoto staring at him like they've seen a ghost. Even Ikaros looked a little sluggish. Why are you girls looking at me like that? Being stared at with such weird looks, Wu Yan couldn't help but grumble. Shoujo and Mikoto looked at each other and said in surprise, "Did you take the wrong medicine?" Wu Yan almost choked to death on his own saliva as he shouted out loud. "Why did you say that?" The two girls rolled their eyes at him. Shoujo stood up and walked to Wu Yan's side. She sized up Wu Yan while circling around him. Her beautiful pink hair swayed around Wu Yan's body, and a familiar scent wafted into Wu Yan's nose. It's just that at this time, Wu Yan wasn't in the mood to taste it. "Why are you up so early today? I thought you wouldn't wake up until the sun is high above your head?" Wu Yan's mouth twitched and he laughed dryly. "Are you exaggerating? Have I never woken up early before?" Hinajuku paused and her gem-like eyes stared straight into Wu Yan's wine-red eyes. She expressed her thoughts without saying a word. Wu Yan admitted defeat under Kaishu-sama's stare. If he wasn't carrying Flandre-chan, Wu Yan would have raised his hands and surrendered. "All right, I do have something to do today. I knew it." Shoujo huffed and returned to Mikoto's side to continue munching on her breakfast. Mikoto propped one leg on top of her own thigh and crossed her legs. Originally, this action was supposed to ruin her image, but when it was done by Mikoto, it gave people a pleasing feeling. Looking at Wu Yan in confusion, Mikoto asked, "Yen, what's the matter that requires you to sacrifice your sleeping time?" Wu Yan carried Flandre-chan and sat down in front of the two girls. Ikaros immediately handed over a portion of breakfast and placed it in front of Wu Yan. Wu Yan couldn't help but smile. As if he's rewarding her, he reached out and patted her head. Ikaros couldn't help but squint her eyes, her indigo pupils were filled with joy. She seems to like Wu Yan's reward. After that, Wu Yan picked up a serving of breakfast. He crushed a bit of it and fed it to Flandre-chan while telling Hinajuku and Mikoto what he had in mind. "I heard from Feifei yesterday that the school's weekly auction will be held today. I'd like to go take a look." Auction. Shoujo and Mikoto looked at each other. There's a similar expression in their eyes. It's a strange one. Hearing the word auction from Wu Yan's mouth, the two girls couldn't help but recall the auction they attended when they first left Butler Whirlwind's world. The two women didn't forget how torturous the auction was. Therefore, when they heard the words auction, the two women didn't want to go out at all. On the other hand, when Flandre-chan in Wu Yan's arms heard the word auction, her wine-red eyes lit up. It's filled with excitement. The only thing missing is the word, I want to go. Oni-chan, is the auction fun? Flandre-chan tugged at Wu Yan's sleeve, looking at Wu Yan with an expectant gaze. Paired with her delicate face, she's indescribably cute. Resisting the urge to rub her cheeks, Wu Yan bitterly smiled. Flandre-chan, the auction isn't for fun. Then what is it for? It's for buying things, Wu Yan said. Flandre-chan lost interest when she heard that it's not for fun. She said in a disappointed tone. Then Flandre-chan should stay at home and play. Stay at home and play? Wu Yan looked at Flandre-chan in surprise. Is there anything fun at home? Flandre-chan put on a big smile and nodded heavily at the suggestion. Yeah. Liline-chan, come play with Flandre-chan later. I see. Wu Yan rubbed Flandre-chan's head and looked at Mikoto and Shoujo. What about you two? Wanna go? The two girls shook their heads. We'll pass. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's just an auction, is there a need to make such a big fuss? Shoujo and Mikoto realized that they've lost their composure and smiled awkwardly. Mikoto quickly changed the topic. Yen, are you going to the auction because you have something to sell? Wu Yan shook his head and smiled. No, it's the opposite this time. I'm going to bid for something. Hinajuku couldn't help but be surprised. You're interested in otherworldly items too? I thought you were only interested in the items in the system. Wu Yan shrugged. Well, I guess you're right. There's a piece of equipment that I really want, but I don't have enough equipment points. So, I'm thinking of getting some armaments to exchange for equipment points, and at the same time I can increase its power. Increase its power. Wu Yan's explanation obviously confused the two girls. Wu Yan chuckled when he saw their puzzled expressions. He didn't answer them and instead, he opened up the system list and clicked on the equipment option. He dragged it out for a bit. Soon, a piece of special equipment appeared in front of the two girls. Gate of Babylon. Unique equipment. A sword in the shape of a key that connects to the Golden City. Able to connect to a treasure vault with its own space, the Golden City. Able to freely take out or store items from the Gate of Babylon. Also able to use the equipment in the Gate of Babylon like bullets for shooting and battle. The stronger the equipment in the Gate of Babylon, the more types of equipment, the higher the level of the Gate of Babylon, and the more powerful it is. Note: starting level is D rank, maximum level is A rank. 500,000 equipment points. Chapter 331. Silveria World Institute's auction is only held once a week. Every time it's held, the items up for auction would be extremely rare items such as rare armaments, battle techniques and spells for Tier 7 warriors and mages, or even items that can be used to aid in cultivation. Due to the special nature of the Spalier World Academy, the resources transported from all over the Spalier world would appear at the auction every week. It could be said that the Spalier World Academy's auction was definitely one of the largest in the world. This wasn't surprising. If it wasn't for this kind of auction, it wouldn't have been able to attract the young masters and young ladies from the various factions. Therefore, on this day of the week, which was also the day of the auction, the popularity of the arena tower, the trading district, and the trading district, which were supposed to be the most popular places among the students, would decrease a lot. This was because the students would flock to the auction house. Therefore, on the way to the auction house, Wu Yan felt that the people around him were getting denser and denser. According to the information on the map, Wu Yan arrived at the auction house. When Wu Yan saw the auction house, Wu Yan couldn't help but feel a little shocked. This auction house was a little too big. Wu Yan estimated that the auction house in front of him was at least 10 times bigger than the one in the supply town. It was inconceivably big. However, after thinking about it carefully, He felt that it was only natural. After all, the Spalier World Academy had a total of 10 million students. Well, although most of the students didn't have enough credits because they weren't doing well, they wouldn't come to the auction house. However, at the very least, the people from the 9 great powers wouldn't be lacking in credits. While Wu Yan was paying attention to the auction house in front of him, the students around him were paying attention to him. They were all looking at Wu Yan with faces full of surprise. "Look, it's that newcomer." "You still call him a newcomer? He's a powerhouse in the top 25. He even tied with the leader of the Sea of Icicles, who's ranked 9. That's right. If things had continued that day, he might have been the final winner. At the very least, he can be ranked in the top 10. I really don't know which force will benefit from such an expert in the end." "That's right. If any force can get a top 10 ranker, then they'll really be rich." As the discussion progressed, the voices of the surrounding students grew louder and louder. In the end, even Wu Yan, who was paying attention to the construction of the auction house, could hear them. Wu Yan couldn't help but frown when he heard the noise. After hearing a part of it, Wu Yan felt helpless. Great, now he's really famous. However, it was too noisy. Looking at the auction house not far away, Wu Yan suddenly swayed. Under everyone's astonished gazes, his body gradually blurred until it disappeared. His body turned into an afterimage. Wu Yan used all kinds of unimaginable postures to force his way through the dense crowd and arrived at the entrance of the auction house. This also allowed Wu Yan to discover another use of the infinite martial refinement. It's just that it's a little speechless. Just as Wu Yan was about to walk into the auction house, a familiar voice rang out, "Yan, you're here." Lulu appeared out of nowhere and arrived in front of Wu Yan. Her eyes were squinted into crescents, seemingly happy. Behind Lulu, Feifei led a group of Fatal Forest students over. As she walked, she waved the night elf in her hand at Wu Yan, greeting Wu Yan. Wu Yan smiled and looked at Lulu and Feifei. He then looked at the large group of supporters behind the 2 girls and said with amusement, "Yo, as expected of people with status and status." This show of extravagance, Lulu couldn't help but roll her eyes. Her small hand fiercely slapped Wu Yan and pouted in dissatisfaction. Feifei shook her head and jokingly said, "If you like, I can let you have fun. No need, no need." Wu Yan hurriedly shook his head. "If you really let me have this show of extravagance, your supporters will tear me to pieces." Feifei immediately retorted after hearing Wu Yan's words. "Tear you to pieces? Our deadly forest doesn't have that kind of ability. You're ranked 25th, and you're even able to tie with the ice spirit. Who else can do that?" Wu Yan immediately laughed embarrassedly. Lulu used her foot to pick up a small rock on the ground and unwillingly pulled on Wu Yan's sleeve. She pitifully wiped away the tears in her eyes. "You're really annoying. When we first met, you were still a weak barbarian. Now you've become so much stronger than me. Tell me, did you eat some kind of drug that turned you into a Superman?" Wu Yan sweated when he heard Lulu's words. Feifei covered her mouth and chuckled. At this time, the 3 of them looked like friends who had been together for many years. They were happily chatting. Of course, while Wu Yan was happy, Feifei and Lulu were happy, there were some people who were unhappy. These people were naturally the people from Fatal Forest. The female students were fine. They were all looking at the 3 of them enviously. They didn't know when they would be able to join the world of people at that level. The male students, on the other hand, were all envious and jealous. Their faces were twisted into one word, and that was jealousy. Girls like Feifei and Lulu who had extraordinary looks and a powerful background. Which man wouldn't be tempted? The males in Fatal Forest even treated Feifei and Lulu as their goddesses. Now, their goddesses were talking and laughing with another man. Their intimacy level was off the charts in front of them. If this wasn't the time to be jealous, when would it be? Of course, jealousy was considered good in Fatal Forest. There was one person who had resentment written all over his face. His eyes were fixed on Wu Yen, and he was almost on the verge of bursting into flames. This person was none other than Hughes. When he thought about how the commoner that he had looked down on had not only defeated him and won the favor of Fei and Lulu, but also became a super celebrity in the Spalier World Academy in the blink of an eye, Hughes had the urge to kill someone. However, no matter how much resentment he had or how much he struggled, he would never be able to catch Wu Yan's attention. While Wu Yan was chatting with Lulu and Fei, on the other side of the crowd, the students suddenly parted to the side and opened up a path. This attracted the attention of Wu Yan and the others. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Bing Ling and Bing Mian led the people from Sea of Dense Ice out of the crowd and arrived at the entrance of the auction house. Bing Ling and Bing Mian also noticed Wu Yan, Fei and Lulu. Bing Ling nodded at Wu Yan and the others as a form of greeting before walking into the auction house. After all, his relationship with Wu Yan wasn't exactly friendly. As for Bing Mian, he was in a much worse state. When he saw Wu Yan, his eyes turned cold and gloomy. After all, not only was he publicly slapped by Wu Yan that day in the arena, his ranking was also taken away from him. He had to put in a lot of effort before he was able to get his ranking back from a challenge. However, he was only ranked 28th this time. Bing Mian glared at Wu Yan and clicked his tongue before walking into the auction house. If one looked closely, they would notice that Bing Mian's face was a little pale and his steps were a little weak. Lulu couldn't help but make a face at Bing Mian. "That guy is still so annoying." Fei nodded thoughtfully. "Bing Mian is a very narrow-minded person. You humiliated him in front of everyone that day. I wonder if he's plotting something." Wu Yan smiled casually. His wine-red eyes turned slightly and a golden light flashed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Chapter 332. After entering the auction house, Wu Yan realized that it was much more spacious than it looked from the outside. Unlike the auction house in the supply town, which had more and more seats, the Spalier World Academy's auction house was more like a stage. At the very front, there was a tall platform with a small table and wooden mallet that were used exclusively by auction houses. Opposite the platform, there were rows of seats. On the high walls on both sides there were also seats that looked like VIPs. They were placed on the platform and hung there like balconies. Of course, the balcony seats on both sides of the high wall weren't VIP seats. The Spalier World Academy doesn't do that either. There were a total of 100 seats for the people who were ranked. Wu Yan, who was ranked 25th, was also qualified to use those seats. However, Wu Yan and Fei didn't want to go up there. It's not that they didn't want to get special treatment, it's just that Lulu was still here. Lulu pulled Fei and Wu Yan's sleeves with a pitiful look. Wu Yan and Fei couldn't make up their minds to go up there and enjoy the seat. In the end, they could only follow the people from Deadly Forest and sit in the lower seat. Of course, even though the feng shui of the seats wasn't as good as the ones above, it wasn't bad either. Deadly Forest's name was quite famous in the Spalier World Academy. Therefore, Wu Yan, Fei and Lulu still managed to get to the front of the feng shui seat. On the left was Lulu and on the right was Fei. Wu Yan sat in the middle under everyone's envious, jealous, and hateful gazes. His expression was indescribably calm. If one were to describe their gazes of envy and jealousy as sharp arrows, then Wu Yan's skin would have been tempered by these arrows to the point that his bones would be as tough as steel. Compared to the girls of Tokuwadai, who have turned black, he's just too weak. After an unknown amount of time, Wu Yan, Fei and Lulu chatted until the auction finally started. For some reason, the auctioneers in the Spalier world were always old men with white hair and a face full of wrinkles, not cute girls. However, the scale of the Spalier World Academy's auction was incomparable to the one in the supply town. It was just the beginning, but one treasure after another appeared in front of Wu Yan, leaving Wu Yan dumbfounded. For example, the rank 7 combat technique that was supposed to be the finale in the supply town was put up for auction right from the start. What made him speechless was that, other than the normal and elite students, no one else participated in the bidding for the Rank 7 combat technique. Another example would be the Volkswagen armaments that Wu Yen auctioned off as the finale item. Here, one after another, the staff in charge of setting up the items are casually tossing them onto the stage. Wu Yen couldn't bear to watch this any longer. Looking at the Volkswagen armament on the stage that was auctioned for 5,000 credits, Wu Yen glanced at the number 280,000 on his record card and calmly called out 10,000. Following Wu Yan's voice, the auction house that was getting rowdy due to the constant bidding suddenly quieted down. Not a single person dared to make a sound. Wu Yen was a little surprised. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What's going on? Perhaps seeing Wu Yan's confusion, Fei Fei smiled and said, "You are now a big celebrity in the academy. You have the strength to rank in the top 10. No one would risk offending you for a Volkswagen armament." When Fei Fei said that, Wu Yen understood. However, he still didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Well, the result was pretty good anyway. On the other side, Bing Mian slowly sat down at the seats reserved for the powerhouses. He looked at his elder brother who had stopped him when he was about to call out a price. Bing Mian grumbled in dissatisfaction. "That's right. Brother, why did you stop me?" Hearing this, the ice spirit snorted coldly and said rudely, "Are you stupid? Even if you have a grudge against Wu Yen, don't you think it's too low class to do something like that for a Volkswagen armament?" Bing Mian said unhappily, "Why not? With my credits, compared to that upstart, it's more than enough." Bing Ling couldn't help but laugh coldly. "Then they'll find a chance to slap you twice. The next day, the entire Silveria World Institute will be talking about how you, the second leader of the Sea of Icicles, got slapped for offending someone because of a common armament," Bing Ling said in a disappointed tone. Bing Mian was stunned and his face turned red. Bing Ling sighed and looked at Wu Yen. He said to Bing Mian, "If you don't like it, work hard and improve your strength. Go to the arena and get your revenge. Don't play dirty tricks all the time. You won't be able to achieve anything if you do that." Bing Mian trembled as he said, "Understood." Bing Mian was still very afraid of his big brother. As for whether Bing Mian listened to Bing Ling's words, only Bing Mian himself would know. With the passage of time, one item after another was brought up to the stage by the staff. Then, they were taken away by the students one by one. Wu Yen managed to get quite a number of armaments as well. However, they are all common-grade armaments. Still, they are cheap, right? Spending a total of 100k credits, Wu Yen bought close to 20 mass armament. Whenever an armament appears, Wu Yen would immediately bid on it, causing everyone to be puzzled. It was strange, wasn't it? He was clearly a peak rank 7 powerhouse, and his strength could be ranked in the top 10 of the school. If such a person wanted to bid, he would at least bid for the rare armaments, right? To the point that for some of the absolute powerhouses of the 7th level, competing for a gold armament was something that was absolutely possible. However, Wu Yen kept buying Volkswagen armaments. If it was 1 or 2, it could be pardoned. If it was 3 or 4, it could be explained. However, if it was 10 or 20, it was a little strange. At this moment, Wu Yen once again became the target of everyone's attention. Everyone looked at Wu Yen with doubtful, puzzled, or mocking gazes. However, they all looked like they didn't know what's going on. Even Fei Fei and Lulu weren't spared. Lulu couldn't help but feel puzzled. She elbowed Wu Yen and whispered, "Yen, why are you buying so many Volkswagen armaments? Don't tell me." Lulu revealed a shocked expression. She said in disbelief, "You formed an army to conquer Ailu Empire. Are you replenishing your troops now?" Wu Yan's hands trembled and his legs gave way. He almost fell to the ground. If it wasn't for the fact that he was sitting in his seat, Wu Yen would have died in front of everyone. Wu Yen lightly sighed and knocked Lulu's head. Lulu clutched her head. Wu Yen rolled his eyes at Lulu and said, "I really don't know what's in that head of yours. You can even think of such a reason." Lulu rubbed her head with tears in her eyes. She said timidly, "Then why are you buying so many Volkswagen armaments?" Feifei also revealed a curious expression. She looked at Wu Yan. Feifei thought she knew Wu Yan better than anyone else. She knew Wu Yan must have a reason for doing so. It's just that she couldn't figure it out. Wu Yan looked at the two women's different but similar expressions. He smiled and looked at another Volkswagen armament on the stage. He rubbed his chin and pretended to be serious. Maybe he's really collecting Volkswagen armaments to conquer Ailu Empire? Feifei and Lulu rolled their eyes at Wu Yan. Wu Yan laughed out loud. Chapter 333. As time passed, the atmosphere of the auction gradually reached its peak. One by one, the auction items were auctioned off. Towards the end, the quality of the auctioned items got higher and higher. At this time, the common armaments had already been auctioned off. Some of the more precious items were also placed on the table. Most of the people who participated in the auction at the beginning were ordinary and elite students. After all, a certain level of strength would be matched with certain items. Following the appearance of some rare treasures, these ordinary and elite students were completely reduced to spectators, with the exception of a few rich young masters. Of course, the appearance of the rare items was accompanied by armaments. When the rare armament was put on the table, Wu Yan's spirit was lifted. If the common armaments were used to exchange points for the system, then the rare armament would be used by Wu Yan to replenish his Gate of Babylon. Anyone who had seen Fate would know how powerful Kaibao of Wang was. It had almost become Gilgamesh's signature. With Kaibao of Wang, Gilgamesh was able to become the best of the best among the heroic spirits. If it wasn't for the Gate of Babylon, with Gilgamesh's ability points, he would only be a second-rate heroic spirit. At most, he would be able to use his EA and use his ultimate skills. That's it, of course. That was because there were so many noble artifacts in the Gate of Babylon for him to use. If the Gate of Babylon was empty, then this awesome noble artifact would be useless. At most, it could be used as an infinitely large spatial item. Wu Yan was facing such a situation. Gate of Babylon, unique equipment. A sword in the shape of a key that connects to the Golden City. It can be connected to a treasure vault that has its own space, which is the Golden City. It can be used to take out or store items from the treasure vault. It can also be used to shoot and fight like bullets. The stronger the equipment in the Gate of Babylon is, the more powerful the Gate of Babylon is. The stronger the equipment in the Gate of Babylon is, the more powerful the Gate of Babylon is. Note: the starting level is rank D, the highest level it can reach, 500,000 equipment points. In the equipment interface, the introduction of the Gate of Babylon was very clear. The stronger the equipment in the Gate of Babylon, the more types there were, the higher the level of the Gate of Babylon, and the more powerful it would be. Without the equipment, the Gate of Babylon would, at most, be a D-rank equipment. When Wu Yan chose the Gate of Babylon, he hesitated. If he chose the Gate of Babylon, it would mean that he would have to start raising a big boss. He would have to rack his brains every day to obtain armaments and equipment to increase the power of the Gate of Babylon. Otherwise, a special equipment would have to be left unused. However, when Wu Yan saw the number of zeros behind the legendary armament, he decided to exchange for the Gate of Babylon. At least, it would be more practical to replenish the equipment of the Gate of Babylon than to earn so many equipment points. Even though it would take a lot of time and money to upgrade the Gate of Babylon to the level of Golden Sparkle in the original Fate book, it would take some time and money indeed. It would take a lot of money. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes stared at the rare armament on the stage. He heard the auctioneer say, 45,000 going once, 45,000 going twice. The corner of his mouth twitched. He had no choice but to bid 50,000. Only then did he win the rare armament. The number on the record card in his hand has changed from 280,000 half an hour ago to 130,000 now. Wu Yan couldn't help but feel emotional. He thought he was already considered a tycoon. Who would have thought that he would be able to accept reality in half an hour? This made Wu Yan very sad. When Wu Yan accidentally glanced at the record card in Fei Fei's hand that showed 10000000, Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. He felt even sadder. Of course, Wu Yan's credits aren't small either. At the very least, he squandered 150,000 credit. In the eyes of the normal, elite and most of the special students, he's already a tycoon. It's just that, compared to Lulu and Fei Fei who came from big factions, he can't compare to them. Plus, no matter how many credits he has, if he squanders like this, it's only a matter of time before he runs out of credits. Fortunately, rare armaments were only considered to be of a higher grade in the Spalier World Academy, where the resources from all over the Spalier world were gathered. Moreover, there were countless descendants of powerful families and super geniuses in the Spalier World Academy. Otherwise, with Wu Yan's credits, this rare armament would have been his limit. In the Spalier World Academy, there were no less than 1,000 special students. Among them, less than 100 were special students with potential. The rest were all strong. They were all Tier 7. As for the Tier 7 special students, which one of them didn't have a rare armament? As a result, the value of rare armaments in the Spalier World Academy decreased by a lot. If it appeared outside of the Spalier World Academy, it would be sold at a sky-high price in a city. Therefore, in the Spalier World Academy, expensive things became cheap, cheap things became expensive, and even more expensive things became unimaginable. This kind of situation appeared very quickly. When Wu Yan used his last 130,000 credits to bid for the 2 rare armaments, the staff members who were moving the auction items all disappeared. There were no more auction items. Just like before, they were placed on the stage one after another. Instead, a white-haired old man walked out from behind the curtain. In his hand, he was holding a box. On the side, Fei Fei and Lulu's eyes suddenly lit up. Looking at the box in the old man's hand, their expressions became serious. Even their backs straightened a lot. It was as if something incredible was about to appear. Not only Fei Fei and Lulu, but Wu Yan also sensed that many people in the auction house were shocked when they saw the box in the old man's hand. They were all ready to go. Their bodies were tense, and they didn't even dare to say a word. And this group of people, like Fei Fei and Lulu, were all people of great power in the Spalier World Academy. Following the appearance of the box, the air was filled with the aura of a coming storm. Many people's faces were filled with eagerness and impatience. Their eyes were filled with greed as they looked at the box. Seeing this situation, Wu Yan couldn't help but frown. Looking at Fei Fei and Lulu who were also like this, his frown deepened. His eyebrows even raised. He was extremely surprised. At that moment, Wu Yan couldn't help but ask, Fei Fei, Lulu, what's wrong with you two? After saying that, Wu Yan looked at the box in the old man's hand and asked with a little doubt, Is there something strange about that box? Hearing Wu Yan's words, Fei Fei smiled and said solemnly, Of course there's nothing wrong with that box. The problem is the thing inside the box. The thing inside the box? That's right. Fei Fei nodded and exchanged glances with Lulu. Then, she looked around at the people in the auction house, especially those in the special seats on both sides. Fei Fei's gaze stopped on them for a while. Then, she said word by word, The thing inside the box should be the final item of this auction. It's also the main reason why we're here today. Hearing this, Wu Yan's wine-red eyes looked at the box that had been placed on the stage. However, what Fei Fei said next made his eyes shrink. That's a gold armament. Chapter 334. Wu Yan is no stranger to gold armament. After all, he has a gold armament in his space ring. Ikaros and Flandre-chan also have gold armament. His own meteor shower, Ikaros's Uranus system, Flandre-chan's Leviathan, all of them were X or gold tier armaments. Logically speaking, for Wu Yan, the shock that the gold armament can bring to him shouldn't be that big. After all, he has one on him, Why should he act like he can't handle it? That's how it is. The words gold armament had already spread throughout the entire auction house. Needless to say, the normal and elite students were drooling over it. As for the special students and the people from the major powers, they all looked at the box on the stage with burning eyes. This proved how attractive the gold armament was to them. It's only natural. Rare armaments are considered rare treasures in the Spalier world. However, due to the Academy's special nature, rare armaments aren't that rare. At the very least, the special students all have one. However, the gold armament is different. At the very least, none of the special students have a gold armament. According to the Spalier world's unspoken rules, gold armament is something that only those at the 9th stage can wear. One can only imagine how attractive a gold armament that only those at the 9th stage can wear would be to these special students. Wu Yan, on the other hand, is the calmest one out of everyone. Of course, the reason why she said she was calm is because Wu Yan's performance wasn't as joyful as the other students. However, her wine-red eyes couldn't help but show a fervent emotion. As long as he thought of the box on the stage, there was an armament of the same grade as the Meteor Knight, the Uranus system, and the Leviathan. This trace of eagerness couldn't be extinguished no matter what. It's obvious that the gold armament isn't as attractive to Wu Yan as the other students, but it's still not small. After all, he used Meteor Shower to intimidate Alistair, Iwa, SS, and Archangel Divinity. He even used Meteor Shower to insta-kill Kakin Taidaku, who was stronger than himself at that time. Ikaros even used the Uranus system to grind 3 people of the same tier, who were just a notch weaker than him, into pieces. From this, it can be seen that even though there's only a difference of 1 level between a gold armament and a rare armament, the difference is like heaven and earth. Just the power displayed by the gold armament is enough to make Wu Yan envious. After all, he came here today for the armament, didn't he? However, the eagerness quickly disappeared. What was left was a deep sense of depression. That was because the number displayed on his record card was already a crimson 0. Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh. It seems like he's not fated to get the gold armament. He can only be a bystander this time. Well, it's not like he doesn't have a gold armament. With the system, he'll never lack anything. The only thing he lacks is points. As long as he has points, nothing will be a problem. With that thought, Wu Yan felt relieved. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked around. The depression he felt earlier has turned into a playful mood. Following the appearance of the gold armament, figures that weren't originally there appeared in every corner of the auction house. It's obvious that they're here for the armament. From the aura they're emitting, Wu Yan can tell that they're not any weaker than Princess Sylph. In fact, they're a lot stronger. Rank 8 powerhouses. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes narrowed. He rubbed his chin and thought. Since Princess Sylph is the strongest student in the Spalier World Academy, then these figures who are a lot stronger than her should be the teachers of the Academy. The attractiveness of the gold armament was indeed huge. Even these arrogant teachers were attracted to it. This time around, things were going to be interesting. Little did he know that in the eyes of others, Wu Yan is the most interesting one. Feifei has been observing Wu Yan. She saw the shock on Wu Yan's face when he first heard about the gold armament. Then, he looked a little depressed when he looked at the record card. Now, he's looking around with a playful expression. Everything was captured by Feifei. Looking at the playful expression on Wu Yan's face, Feifei felt a little strange. She knew how tempting a gold armament is to a greedy person. It's something that even a rank 9 would want. Wu Yan, on the other hand, had such an expression when he heard about the gold armament. It's as if the item on the stage isn't a gold armament but a rare one. Feifei, of course, didn't know that Wu Yan was being so carefree because he knew he had no fate with the armament. At this time, Feifei also noticed the sudden appearance of the figures. She frowned and scanned them with her beautiful eyes. It's as if she's trying to recognize them. So the teachers from the academy are here too? Hearing this, Wu Yen turned around and looked at the night elf in Feifei's hand. With a smile that isn't a smile, he said, Feifei, do you also want the gold armament? Feifei couldn't help but smile. She raised the night elf in her hand and said indifferently, I have this, it's enough. After saying this, Feifei looked at the other side of Wu Yen and said with a strange expression, There's someone else who wants the gold armament. Wu Yen scratched his face in confusion and looked in the direction of Feifei's gaze. With this look, his face fell and finally, it became the word embarrassed. I really want it. I really want it, Lulu muttered as if she's crazy. Her hands were clasped in front of her chest and her eyes were filled with twinkling stars. She looked like a little girl chasing after her idol. The reason is naturally because the gold armament is a magic staff specially used by magicians. When the gold magic staff appeared in front of everyone, the warriors were disappointed, while the mage's eyes were burning with fire. They held the record cards in their hands tightly, and their faces were filled with impatience. Thus, the next round of competition began just like that. 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, 700,000. When the words 700,000 rang out in the auction house, the entire auction house went silent for a moment. Then, an endless stream of bids began. However, this time, the increment wasn't as high as 100,000. Hearing that the price had risen to 750,000 credits, Wu Yan's mouth twitched. When he heard Lulu shout 800,000, Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched. A bunch of rich people, however, when Wu Yan thought of this, a cold voice rang out and caused him to lose his calm again. 1,000,000. An ice-cold voice that sounded like the sounds of nature gently reverberated throughout the auction house, causing everyone to be stunned. The students who recognized this voice narrowed their eyes and quickly looked towards the entrance of the auction house. It's Sylph. At this moment, Sylph is more like a queen than a princess. She stood at the entrance as if she's the only person left in the world. She made a dazzling entrance. With Sylph's entrance, the students' voices quieted down. They were intimidated by Sylph's presence. The title, Strongest Student, is not a joke. Of course, this is only true for the students. 1,200,000. A voice rang out from one of the figures in the middle of the auction house. Sylph glanced at that person and opened her mouth. 2,000,000. Chapter 335. Woo-woo. Why can't it be me? Listening to Lulu repeating herself over 100 times in 10 minutes, Wu Yan and Feifei looked at each other helplessly. Wu Yan recalled the auction that ended up being a solo act for Sylph. Wu Yan lamented inwardly. He lamented the fact that the cameo didn't have a ***. Since Sylph's appearance at the auction house, all the students have been reduced to spectators. Even the people from the major factions have been reduced to spectators. Only the shameless teachers were left. They shamelessly competed with Sylph for the gold armament, but in the end, they didn't manage to get it. The students who were reduced to spectators felt a lot better now. After all, there have been a couple of auctions in the Spalier World Academy in the past, but they were all taken by the teachers. That's why the regret in the students' hearts lessened a lot when Sylph came to receive the golden armament. This made the teachers feel quite gloomy. As for how many credits Sylph spent to buy the gold armament, Wu Yan didn't want to overload his heart again, so he forgot about it. Of course, for those who didn't know about Wu Yan's perfect memory ability, they can treat it as if it was real. Wu Yan's perfect memory ability has been merged with infinite arms refinement. However, merging with infinite arms refinement doesn't mean it's gone. Wu Yan still has perfect memory. Woo-woo. Why can't it be me? Wu Yan couldn't take it anymore after hearing Lulu's words for the nth time. Fatal Forest's members were shocked and Hughes's face was ashen. Wu Yan reached out and pinched Lulu's cheek. Can't you stop for a moment? Don't you know you're putting a lot of pressure on me? You. Lulu cried out in pain. Her words couldn't be heard clearly due to Wu Yen pinching her cheeks and pulling them outwards. She could only make yu sounds. She waved her hands around and tears welled up in her eyes. Wu Yen almost died from how cute she is. Seeing Lulu being punished by Wu Yen, Fei Fei felt a bit good, but at the same time, she couldn't bear to see this happen. She quickly came to Wu Yan's side and she grabbed his hands. Alright. Yen, Lilu already knows that she's wrong. Just forgive her. Wu Yen raised an eyebrow. He looked at Lulu's cheeks that he had pulled so hard that he couldn't see her face clearly. He complained in his heart, how do you know she knows she's wrong? She can't even speak clearly. Perhaps because she heard Fei Fei's voice, Lulu seemed to have grasped at a life-saving straw. She stretched out a hand towards Fei Fei and looked pitifully at Fei Fei, as if saying, Sister Fei Fei, hurry up and save me. Fei Fei couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. She could only helplessly beg for mercy on Lulu's behalf. While Wu Yen, Lulu, and Fei Fei were messing around, a member of Lethal Forest suddenly came to Fei Fei's side. He said to Fei Fei, Lady Fei Fei, something happened. Wu Yen, Lulu, and Fei Fei stopped what they were doing. Fei Fei frowned and straightened her back. The aura of a leader emanated from Fei Fei's body. What happened? The member of Lethal Forest glanced at Wu Yen and said respectfully, Sea of Icicles, Crimson Land, and other factions just ran to the villa. Their target seems to be the new special students. What? Before Fei Fei could react, Wu Yen was shocked. He quickly asked, New special students? Are they the ones who were with me? Yes. That member of Lethal Forest, including everyone else, felt as if a heavy mountain suddenly fell on them. Their chests felt heavy, and their faces turned pale. They looked at Wu Yen in horror. A majestic and abnormally powerful aura emanated from Wu Yan's body and enveloped everyone. Wu Yan's face was terrifyingly dark. His wine-red eyes were filled with a murderous aura that seemed to contain the entire sea of blood. Everyone, except for Fei Fei, bent down and broke out in cold sweat. Fei Fei supported the pale Lulu. Her expression changed, and she quickly grabbed Wu Yan's hand. Yen, don't be angry. There won't be any casualties in the Spalier World Academy as long as they don't pass the application. Shoujo and the others will be fine. Calm down first. Wu Yen glanced at Fei Fei coldly. When he saw the pale Lulu beside Fei Fei, he took a few deep breaths and gradually withdrew the murderous aura in his chest. It was not until a certain moment that the pale faces of Lulu and the members of Lethal Forest regained some color. Lulu patted her chest in fear, and one of her hands involuntarily pulled Wu Yan's sleeve. Yen, you were so scary just now. Wu Yen smiled bitterly and said apologetically, I'm sorry, Lulu. Before Wu Yen could finish, Lulu shook her head and tightened her grip on Wu Yan's sleeve. She said happily, There's nothing to apologize for. In fact, I'm happy to see you so worried about the people around you. Wu Yen was stunned. He smiled and rubbed Lulu's head. He didn't expect Lulu to be so considerate. Wu Yen turned to Fei Fei. Fei Fei, I'll go back and check on the situation first. Fei Fei thought for a moment and was about to nod when the member from Lethal Forest said, The people at the mansion should be gone by now. When I arrived, Miss Shoujo, Miss Mikoto, and Miss Ikaros were already heading towards the arena tower with the other factions. I see. Wu Yen sighed in relief. He smiled, or rather, he's taking pleasure in their misfortune. He can roughly guess what happened. It must be those factions that ran into trouble on my side and knew that they won't be able to get anything out of me, so they went straight for Hinajuku and the others. Maybe, in their eyes, Hinajuku and Mikoto are under my protection, so they didn't go after them before. What they don't know is that the scariest one in their group isn't themselves, it's those idiots. That day, Sylph clearly acknowledged Mikoto in front of everyone, yet they still dared to come knocking on her door. Are they really that stupid, or are they just pretending? Wu Yen doesn't know the answer to that. Wu Yen only knows that these people are in for a bad time. Fei Fei and Lulu are also aware of Mikoto's strength, so when they heard that Hinajuku, Mikoto, and the others are going to the arena tower, they couldn't help but sigh in relief. The two girls exchanged a strange look. They haven't known Shoujo and the others for long, but Feifei and Lulu are confident that they understand the two girls quite well. That includes Mikoto's passion for battle. Those factions who think they can take advantage of the situation are going to be in for a treat. Wu Yen turned to the member who reported. What about Fran? Did she go with them as well? Miss Fran wasn't there. She spent the whole day playing with Miss Liren in the headquarters. The reporting student had a bitter look on his face when he said that. It's like he's reminiscing about something unbearable. Wu Yen couldn't help but chuckle. It seems like Fran and Liren had a lot of fun in the headquarters. That's good too. If Flandre-chan went with them, she might want to play with them. When that happens, her powers will be sealed and she'll be dead the moment she goes up on stage. However, those shameless bastards wouldn't go as far as to fight with a child. Plus, Flandre-chan can't go up to the 5th floor of the arena tower. Feifei walked up to Wu Yen and whispered, "Want to go take a look?" Of course. Wu Yen smiled, but his eyes were indifferent. It's hard to tell what he's thinking. Chapter 336. When Wu Yen and Feifei arrived at the 5th floor of the arena tower, the scene that greeted them made their anxious faces freeze. They couldn't keep their cool anymore. Hinajuku and Ikaros are standing below an arena, leisurely strolling around. Mikoto is standing at the center of the arena, her body still emitting electric sparks. At her feet, there's a special student twitching and foaming at the mouth. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat when he saw this scene. He forced a smile on his face. Why does he feel like he's seen this somewhere before? No, he should say that he's seen this somewhere before. Those delinquents in Academy City, Sea of Icicles, Crimson Land, and the other 6 factions were all standing below the stage. Their faces were blank, and there was a trace of daze in their eyes. It was as if they had suffered a blow. Beside them, there were a few students they were taking care of. Their bodies were twitching just like the person on the stage. Bing Ling, Bai Shi, and the other leaders of the major forces looked as if they had just eaten a dead fly. Their faces were ashen, and at the same time, there was a trace of bitterness on their faces. It was obvious that these leaders weren't feeling very good at the moment. This was only natural. He came to the other party's territory aggressively and expressed his intentions. Then, he came to the Tower of Arena with great confidence. In the end, he fell to the ground in a daze. Such a tragic event was common in novels and movies. It could even be said to be melodramatic. However, when it really happened to them, they finally understood the sorrow of being a minor character. And it was twice. The referee who's playing the role of a bystander came up and announced, "The opponent has lost the ability to fight. The winner is student Misaka Mikoto. Since the loser's ranking is higher than the winner's, student Misaka Mikoto will be the loser's ranking. I hereby announce that the new special student, Misaka Mikoto, is ranked 4th in the rankings." The audience couldn't help but applaud when they heard the referee's announcement. The major factions, on the other hand, had an extremely bitter expression on their faces. Wu Yen, Lulu, and Feifei couldn't keep their cool anymore. It's only been a while and Mikoto is ranked 4th. Wu Yen and Feifei couldn't help but look at each other. Especially Wu Yen, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is great. In just a short while Mikoto's ranking shot up to the top 10 like a rocket. How can Wu Yen, who fought so hard to get into the top 30, endure this? If Wu Yan's memory serves him right, the special student lying under Mikoto's feet should be one of the leaders of the 9 factions. Mikoto took down the leader of one of the major factions, and the audience applauded fearlessly. Should I say, as a pretty girl, Mikoto is showing off her privileges? Thus, Wu Yen started to complain. For the first time in his life, he started to complain about the girls around him. Why are they so strong? Mikoto is strong, Ikaros is strong, Shoujo is strong too, even Shokuho Misaki and the others are strong too. Next time, should I summon a few soft girls? With that in mind, Wu Yen walked up to Shoujo and Ikaros. He looked at Mikoto, who was stroking her bangs, and sighed. It's because of this sigh that Shoujo and Ikaros noticed Wu Yan's arrival. Wu Yan's heart was hurt, master. Ikaros always looked like she's following Wu Yan's lead. When she saw Wu Yan, her indigo eyes rippled and she walked up to him. Yen, you're here. Shoujo giggled, giving Wu Yan the urge to give her a good spanking. Wu Yan could only helplessly raise his hand. Are you guys okay? Shoujo rolled her eyes and rudely said, which eye of yours saw that we're not okay? It's clearly those people who are not okay? Wu Yan's face twitched, he said embarrassedly. You're right. Fei also came to Shoujo's side. She looked at Mikoto, who's covered in electricity. Fei's hands trembled a little. Her sharp intuition told her that the electricity on Mikoto's body is very strong. Mikoto is also very strong right now. Even if she went up and got hit by the electricity, she wouldn't have a good ending either. This feeling didn't make Fei depressed. Instead, the battle intent in her heart started to surge. Her eyes shone brightly and she gripped Night Elf tightly. It's obvious that Fei's battle intent has been stimulated by Mikoto. After all, Mikoto is currently 4th and Fei is 5th. However, at this time, Mikoto didn't pay attention to Fei or Wu Yan. It's not that she didn't know that Wu Yan and the rest are here, it's just that the teleportation formation on the 5th floor suddenly flashed with light, attracting everyone's attention. Under everyone's gazes, 3 figures walked out of the teleportation array one after another. At the same time, special students walked out of the teleportation array one after another. With these 3 leading the way, they walked towards the arena. Seeing these people, everyone was stunned. The people from the 9 major factions all tensed up as if they saw something incredible. Among these people, Wu Yan was naturally included. There weren't many people walking out from the teleportation formation, but there weren't few either. The aura that was faintly emitted from their bodies was much stronger than most of the people here. Especially the 3 in the lead. Almost everyone in the Spalier World Academy knows who these 3 are. They looked at each other because they recognized them. Other than Shoujo, Mikoto, and Ikaros, there's also Wu Yan. Wu Yan doesn't know who these people are, but there's one person he knows. Even though he's only seen her twice, the impression she gave him isn't something he'll forget easily. That person is Princess Sylph. The identity of the special students behind Princess Sylph and the 2 special students who were walking at the head of the group was obvious. One of the 3 royal factions of the Spalier World Academy, the leader of the 3 royal factions, the Prince of Faya Empire, Kaya Barba. Kaya Barba. One of the 3 royal factions of the Spalier World Academy, the leader of the Beast Tide, the Prince of Barba Empire, Jafar Barba. Barba. Lastly, one of the 3 royal factions of the Spalier World Academy, Snow Song, the leader of Snow Song, the Princess of Ailu Empire, Sylph Barba. Ailu. Silveria World Institute, the last 3 strongest factions among the 12 strongest factions, finally appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The moment they appeared, other than Wu Yan, Shoujo, Mikoto, and Ikaros, everyone else recognized them. That's why they're so surprised. Wu Yan, Hinajiku, Mikoto, and Ikaros didn't know the identity of the intruder, but in their eyes, the information of the intruder appeared. Sylph? Ailu. Level 72 Kaya? Faya. Level 70 Jafar? Barba. Level 73 Tier 8 powerhouses. They're the 3 strongest students of the Spalier World Academy, the top 3 super powerhouses. Fei, the leader of Deadly Forest, ranked 5th. Bing Ling, the leader of Sea of Icicles, ranked 9th. Bai Shi, the leader of Crimson Land, ranked 10th. The leaders of the 6 factions, ranked 6th, 7th, and 8th, as well as Mikoto, who just took 4th place. Mikoto, who was standing in the arena, ranked 4th. The top 10 students of the Spalier World Academy are all here. Chapter 337. The gathering of the top 10 students of Silveria World Institute ignited the passion of every student on the 5th floor of the arena tower. The place where the 10 students gathered became the center of attention of every student on the 5th floor. The students stared at the top 10 with burning eyes. They couldn't help but wonder when they would be able to become the center of attention like them. Even Wu Yen couldn't help but feel a flame ignite in his chest. His eyes flashed with intense light and the corner of his mouth curled into an intriguing arc. However, Wu Yan's target isn't the top 10 rankers like the other students, it's the top 3 rankers. Sylph, Ka, Jaffer. These are the 3 strongest students in the academy. They are also Wu Yan's biggest obstacle to his mission. Sylph, Ka, and Jaffer arrived at the front of the arena and looked at Mikoto with different expressions on their faces. Jaffer, the tallest of the 3, sized up Mikoto from head to toe. Then he clicked his tongue in dissatisfaction. Like a beast, a clanging sound came out of his mouth. What is this? I was wondering what kind of person Sylph would approve of. So it's just a little girl. Mikoto turned her attention to Jaffer. A dangerous glint flashed across her eyes as she looked at Jaffer. Who are you calling a little girl? Jaffer glanced at Mikoto with a mocking smile. He was about to say something but was interrupted by Ka on the side. Your Highness Jaffer, don't be so full of yourself. Ka smirked at Jaffer and pointed at Sylph with his lip. Or else you might make someone unhappy. Jaffer's expression darkened. He looked at Sylph with a hint of fear and unwillingness. He snorted coldly and turned his head away. He didn't continue the topic of little girl. Kaya laughed lightly and turned to look at Mikoto. Unlike Jaffer, Kaya also sized Mikoto up before sighing, Miss, although you're a woman, you should be younger than me. To be able to become a Type 8 expert at such a young age, you must be much stronger than Kaya. Everyone present, except for Wu Yen, Shoujo, Ikaros, Feifei, and Lulu, had a change in expression. Even the major factions that lost to Mikoto had the same expression. Countless people looked at Mikoto in shock. They looked at the young girl who exuded a youthful aura. She's long been devoured to the bone, with disbelief. She's a Tier 8 powerhouse? Some people secretly pinched their own buttocks or cheek. The pain quickly entered their senses, letting them know that they were not dreaming or hearing things. That little girl who looks like she's not even 18 years old is really a Tier 8 powerhouse. The students started getting excited. The major factions that lost to Mikoto, on the other hand, let out a sigh of relief. Losing to a Tier 8 powerhouse isn't something to be ashamed of, right? Especially the leader of a large faction who was defeated by Mikoto. He let out a sigh of relief. He wasn't afraid of people saying that he lost to a Tier 8 fighter, but he was afraid of people saying that he lost to an underage brat. Mikoto felt a little uncomfortable with the reactions of the students. She thought it was too exaggerated. Accelerator isn't much older than her, but he's terrifyingly strong. Flandre-chan, on the other hand, looks less than 10 years old, but she's already a Tier 9 powerhouse. Compared to these people, she really isn't that strong. Ikaros and Astria are also stronger than her. That's why Mikoto has always been dissatisfied with her own strength. She doesn't think she's that strong, at least for now. If Wu Yen were to find out about this, he would definitely fall head first onto the floor and then sigh at the sky. Isn't it a little too unfair to compare your 2D world with Silveria? If that's the case, then wouldn't the 2 Lolitas from Type Moon be able to crush everyone in the world with their strength? Mikoto shook her head. There are plenty of people who are stronger than me. Who knows how many are more talented than me? You think too highly of me. Ka chuckled. It's obvious he's treating Mikoto's words as mere pleasantries. Ka didn't correct her, instead, he changed his tone. Miss, with your strength, it's beneath you to be a normal student. Ka, allow me to boldly extend an invitation to you. I wonder if you're interested in joining my organization, Lei Feng? Following Kaya's invitation to Mikoto, the students on the 5th floor all quieted down. They all held their breaths and stared at Mikoto with wide eyes. They wanted to know which faction the 4th rank 8th student of the academy would end up joining. If Mikoto joins Lei Feng, the ranking of the factions in the academy will change. Lei Feng will be above the other 2 factions. The other 9 factions, including Feifei, didn't want Mikoto to join Lei Feng. If possible, they didn't want her to join Lei Feng. After all, the 9 factions, along with Snow Song, Lei Feng, and Beast Tide, are the top 12 factions. But in terms of strength, they can't compare to the 3. It was because the Snow Song Imperial family, the Imperial family, and the Beast Tide all had 8th stage experts holding down the fort, yet they didn't. Of course, there are those who covet Mikoto. As long as Mikoto joins their faction, they'll instantly become a faction on par with the 3 royal factions. But the scene of Mikoto electrocuting the original 4th was still fresh in their minds. So they didn't dare to use any forceful methods. They only hoped that Mikoto wouldn't accept Ka's invitation. That's to give them some hope. Mikoto didn't disappoint. She shook her head and crossed her arms in front of her chest. I'm sorry, I don't have any intention of joining any faction yet. Ka shook his head in disappointment. But he still said in a carefree manner. If that's the case, Ka won't force you. I only hope that if Miss wants to join any faction in the future, you can consider joining Lei Feng. I'll always welcome you. Mikoto nodded with a smile. On the side, Jaffer sighed in relief. If that little girl were to be recruited by Ka, then it'd be a headache for him. Due to his previous preconceived notions, he couldn't invite her now. Plus, it didn't look like she was going to join any faction. Jaffer didn't say anything to prevent himself from being snubbed. At this time, the silent sylph walked up. Her icy blue eyes glanced at Ikaros before looking at Mikoto. Her expression was cold as she said something that caused everyone's expression to change. Do you accept my challenge? Hearing this, Mikoto was stunned for a moment. Then, a touch of excitement rushed into her eyes and face. A flash of blue and white electricity faintly flashed through her eyes. You want to fight me? Sylph nodded under everyone's gaze. Her cold voice continued to echo in the room. If you lose, you'll join Snow Song. Kaya and Jaffer cursed in their hearts. Even the people from the major factions started to panic. Mikoto's lips curled into an amused smile as she said loudly, "All right. It's decided then." The crowd went into an uproar. Wu Yen and Hinagika looked at each other. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then, they sighed as if they expected better from him. When would this last stop being so competitive? Chapter 338. Mikoto's smile got brighter and brighter as Sylph walked towards the arena. Her tea-colored eyes were filled with eagerness. It's clear how happy she is right now. Only the heavens know how competitive this brat is. She's a violent brat. At this moment, the excited Mikoto and the cold Sylph stood opposite each other, forming a stark contrast. However, no one dared to underestimate this battle. A battle between 2 Tier 8 powerhouses. It's been a long time since something like this happened in the Spalier world. After all, the normal students are only allowed to move up to the 5th floor. The 6th floor is where the strongest students are allowed to move. Perhaps the 3 level 8 students had fought many times on the 6th level, but this wasn't something that the students on the 6th level and below would know. That's why a battle between Tier 8 powerhouses hasn't happened in a long time. Some of the newer students haven't even seen a battle between Tier 8 powerhouses. After all, only those ranked in the top 10 could ascend to the 6th floor of the Tower of Arena. The floor masters of the 1st to 3rd floors correspond to the beginning, middle, and high stages of Tier 6. The 4th floor is the beginning of Tier 7 and the 5th floor is the peak of Tier 7. One can only imagine how many people in the entire Spalier World Academy can pass the 5th floor. As for the strength of the 6th floor's floor master, no one knew. Perhaps the top 10 students who had already reached the 6th floor knew, but they all kept their mouths shut. Information about the 6th floor's floor master was even more secretive than national secrets. That's why only those who can pass the 5th floor and reach the 6th floor can be considered the strongest in the Spalier World Academy. Everyone now knew that there was a new student who had just risen to 4th place and was able to enter the 6th level. However, they didn't know that not long after, there would be another student who wasn't in the top 10 who would pass the 5th level. Fei looked at the beautiful girls in the arena. She looked at Mikoto and asked Wu Yen worriedly, "Yen, aren't you going to stop them?" Wu Yen shrugged and chuckled. "Why should I stop them?" Fei lowered her head. After a while, she said, "Princess Sylph is very strong." Wu Yen chuckled when he heard Fei. "Mikoto is also very strong." Fei sighed. Shoujo couldn't help but say, "Fei, don't worry. Princess Sylph is here to invite Mikoto to join her faction. She won't hurt Mikoto. Mikoto will know when to stop." Towards the end of her sentence, Hinagiku's expression became a bit unnatural. Wu Yan's mouth twitched. To be able to say that Mikoto knows her limits and only have an unnatural expression on her face. Hinagiku is pretty amazing. Wu Yan turned to look at the two on the stage. His expression darkened. To be honest, he didn't expect things to turn out this way. Wu Yan thought that as long as he shows enough strength, the girls around him won't be affected by the other factions. But reality told him that he was too naive. It doesn't matter if it's due to Mikoto and Ko's status as special students, or if it's due to their outstanding looks that attracted flies. In any case, this incident told Wu Yan that not everything will go according to his plan. Thinking up to this point, he clenched his fists and sighed. After this incident, Mikoto will definitely attract even more attention. When that time comes, he's not afraid of anything except for the dirty tricks of the other factions. The 12 factions of the Spalier World Academy represent the 12 factions of the Spalier World. Provoking them is the same as provoking an endless stream of trouble. Looks like he needs to speed up his progress. Increasing his strength as soon as possible is the way to go. Wu Yan lifted his head and looked at a direction. That direction is the teleportation formation to the 6th floor of the arena tower. In the arena, two beautiful girls, one silent and one moving, are staring at each other. The atmosphere around them is getting heavier and heavier as time passes. It's as if there's a hidden meaning behind this. At some point, Mikoto finally lost her patience. Beep beep beep. A violent electronic sound suddenly rang out. Blue and white electric currents were like little snakes slithering around Mikoto's body. Her brown eyes were dyed blue under the electric light. Mikoto tilted her head back. "Ha! Begin." Following Mikoto's excited laughter, an even more frequent electric sound came from Mikoto's body. In a blink of an eye, Mikoto's entire body was covered in lightning. At this moment, Mikoto is going all out. It's as if even the end of the world wouldn't cause her expression to change. Sylph looked at Mikoto, who looked like she was possessed by the god of thunder. She gently raised her white hand. Boom! In an instant, Sylph, who looked like an ordinary person who didn't train, suddenly exploded with a loud boom. At the same time, an unprecedented amount of magical energy erupted from her body. The icy blue magical energy was like a frigid air. It slowly rose from Sylph's body like steam. The surrounding space slowly solidified, and in a blink of an eye, icicles were formed. Sylph raised her hand and the icicles increased in speed. They tore through the air and flew towards Mikoto. Sylph didn't hold back at all. She knew she didn't have to hold back either. Sure enough, Mikoto only glanced at the ice spikes that blotted out the sky. She spread her arms outwards. Following her movement, a thick electric current appeared on her hands. The electric current flowed through her hands and lightly brushed the ground. She faced the incoming ice spikes head-on. Bang 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 bang, the collision between the icicles and the lightning produced a series of muffled sounds. At this time, every icicle that came into contact with the lightning was like a firecracker, exploding into pieces that filled the sky. The constant collisions between the icicles and the lightning made the entire space seem as if they were celebrating something. The sound of firecrackers rang out continuously. Lightning flashed across the entire arena, and cold air filled the entire space. The students on the 5th floor immediately enjoyed a double cleansing of their senses, both visual and tactile. However, to Sylph and Mikoto, this was nothing more than a greeting. Suddenly, Sylph's lips moved and her mana fluctuated. She chanted an incantation that was both urgent and indifferent at the same time. It was a contradictory yet pleasant incantation. The moment she chanted the incantation, the temperature in the arena plummeted. Sylph turned into a goddess of ice and snow. She blew a gust of icy wind towards Mikoto. Wherever the snowstorm passed, the ground froze into ice, but none of it was blown out of the arena. Sylph's control over her power has reached a terrifying level. Compared to Sylph's control, Mikoto's control is much weaker. She might even be weaker than a Tier 7. However, with Mikoto's personality, it's impossible for her to focus on improving her control. She only needs to improve the power of her attacks. Compared to Sylph, Mikoto is superior in terms of explosive power. Mikoto swung her hand in Sylph's direction. The lightning turned into a spear of lightning that pierced through the icy wind towards Sylph. Chapter 339. What unfolded before everyone's eyes was an unbelievable scene. No one has ever seen lightning freeze before, and no one has ever seen flames erupt from a cold current. On the 5th floor of the arena, the howling snowy wind blew in every corner of the arena, freezing the floor into a thick layer of ice. It was obvious that the temperature had dropped to a terrifying level. However, when the cold current came into contact with a lightning net, it started to burn like gas coming into contact with a flame. Although the snowy wind extinguished the fire in an instant, the scene of flames erupting from the cold current is still imprinted in everyone's eyes. On the other side, it's a completely different scene. The violent lightning quickly flowed, breaking through layers of snow and wind. However, the further it went, the slower the speed of the lightning became. In the end, the speed of the lightning stopped under the attack of the snow and wind. It was like a snake that had met its natural enemy. It twisted twice and then froze. It was a shocking scene. Two phenomena that completely violated the laws of physics, yet it brought a deep shock to everyone. This was the embodiment of power to the extreme. Below the stage, Jaffer and Kaya, who were both Tier 8, had a grim expression on their faces. Jaffer clenched his fists when he saw Sylph and Mikoto's faint silhouettes in the midst of the blizzard and lightning. Jaffer growled indignantly. "Sylph, that woman, she's gotten stronger again." Kaya nodded solemnly and turned to Mikoto. "That newbie isn't simple either. She's able to cast lightning spells without needing to chant. Based on her appearance alone, she's not any weaker than Sylph. That's impossible." Jaffer clicked his tongue and laughed coldly. "Sylph's true strength hasn't been revealed yet. How can that little girl be Sylph's opponent?" Kaya glanced at Jaffer. He didn't think much of it. He knew Jaffer well enough to know that he's speaking from his personal feelings. After all, Sylph was someone Jaffer dreamed of surpassing. If Jaffer admitted that the newcomer's strength was on the same level as Sylph's, then he would have to admit that there's another woman above him. This was something he would never admit. The culture of the Baruba Empire was that men were superior to women. Even though they didn't treat women like clothes, if a woman surpassed them in a certain aspect, they would be laughed at in the Baruba Empire. As a prince of the Baruba Empire, Jaffer's view of men as superior to women was deeply ingrained in his heart. That was why Jaffer, who was ranked 3rd, could allow Kaya to surpass him but not Sylph. In the Baruba Empire, being surpassed by a woman was a disgrace. This kind of national custom was criticized by countless people. Even Kaya looked down on this kind of phenomenon. However, standing in the position of the other two empires, they were quite happy to see this kind of phenomenon happen. That's why the talented and powerful women of the Baruba Empire would leave the Baruba Empire for the other two empires when they realized that they might cause trouble for themselves. Kaya glanced at Jafar, who was smiling coldly, but his eyes were filled with anger and unwillingness. He shook his head. As an outsider and a prince of an empire, Kaya had no right to say anything about the culture of the empire. At this moment, something strange happened in the arena. The thick snowy wind suddenly moved in one direction like a whirlpool. Following the flow of the snowy wind, the center of the whirlpool condensed into a dazzling ice-blue ball of light. The snowstorm surged into the icy blue ball of light, and the current state of the arena appeared before everyone's eyes. Sylph was standing behind the icy blue ball of light with a crystal staff in her hand. The staff was none other than the gold armament that Sylph bought at the auction. Wu Yen, Feifei, Kaya, Jafar and the other students who recognized the staff shrunk their pupils in shock. If she's using her gold armament, it means that Sylph is going all out. Sylph held the staff horizontally in front of her chest like a cannon. She pointed the cannon at Mikoto, and the icy blue ball of light gathered more and more snowstorm and turned into a terrifying cannonball. Waves of heart-palpitating aura surged out from the icy blue ball of light, causing everyone present to tense up. Mikoto is even more so. As Sylph's direct target, she's the one who felt it the most. However, unlike the others, Mikoto's face is filled with excitement. This is how it should be. Mikoto shouted as if no one was around. She gathered all the electricity in her body into a thick lightning bolt and directed it towards one of her hands. At the same time, Mikoto raised her hand and pointed it at Sylph. Everyone could clearly see that Mikoto was holding a token in her hand. Not good! Wu Yen, Feifei, Kaya and Jafar shouted at the same time. Their voices were filled with unprecedented seriousness. Even their faces were filled with shock. Following the appearance of the icy blue ball of light and the token, an explosive shock wave swept across the arena. The shock wave was so strong that some of the tables and chairs were blown away. Everyone raised their hands to block the shock wave in front of them. Their combat chi and mana surged in order to stabilize their bodies and prevent themselves from being blown away by the shock wave. The terrifying phenomenon that was transmitted from the arena caused the hearts of every student to be filled with shock, except for a very small number of people who were very strong. Wu Yen gritted his teeth as he looked at the two on the arena. He couldn't help but curse. Those two idiots! What the hell are they doing? Is there a need to make such a big fuss? Are you two mortal enemies? Isn't this the same as fighting to the death? Feifei gripped the night elf so tightly that her hand turned white. Her face was also a little pale. She could already see how terrifying Sylph and Mikoto's next move would be from the shockwave. If things go wrong, even the audience below the stage and the entire fifth floor would be affected. Feifei gritted her teeth and turned around to look for the referee. Unfortunately, the referee was nowhere to be found. Feifei's expression was one of disbelief. At this moment, Kaya and Jaffa had already raised their do-chi. Their eyes were solemn as they looked at the center of the battlefield. Clearly, even they felt that if they didn't use some tricks, they would be affected by the shockwaves. By the time all the snow and wind entered the icy blue sphere of light in Sylph's gold armament, it was already the size of a soccer ball. Everyone's expression changed when they saw the terrifying energy contained within the sphere. Sylph raised her head and looked at Mikoto. Her emotionless face glowed with a magical aura. Then, she pointed her staff at Mikoto. Ice Dragon Strike! The icy blue ball of light suddenly shot out. Her brown eyes flashed with a hint of graveness. She activated her ability, and all the electricity flowed into the coin in her hand. A bright white dot emitted from the coin, and an energy no less powerful than an ice-blue orb surged within this small coin. At some point, Mikoto bit her lips, and with a shout, the coin in her hand was flicked out by her finger. Railgun! As her voice fell, an orange light beam shot out from Mikoto's hand, fiercely hitting the ice-blue ball. Under everyone's gaze, the two extremely terrifying energy bodies instantly collided with each other. Chapter 340. The moment the ice dragon strike and the railgun cannon were shot out, the space of the fifth floor began to ripple like a lake that had a boulder thrown into it. On the arena, wherever the ice dragon strike and the super electromagnetic gun passed, a half-meter wide crack appeared. Following the trajectory of the ice dragon strike and the super electromagnetic gun, the crack spread rapidly under the horrified gazes of the audience. The light ball and the light beam wildly attacked in a lightning-like manner. Wherever they passed, the threads of energy that seeped out were actually able to directly shatter the stone slabs on the ground into powder. Moreover, the nearly half-a-meter-wide crack that swiftly spread on the ground had also completely destroyed the entire fighting arena. In the arena, the ice blue and orange lights each occupied half of the arena. The ice blue light ball was like a nuclear bomb as it shot out, while the orange light beam met it head-on. Both of them contained extremely terrifying energy. The space along the way rippled and crack lines spread on the ground. The frightening destructive force caused the faces of everyone below the stage to be filled with shock and astonishment. They really had difficulty imagining that if they were on the stage, it was likely that just the little bit of energy that seeped out would be able to shake them until they were seriously injured. The battle between Mikoto and Sylph was so terrifying. The icy blue light from the ball of light and the orange light from the beam of light were reflected in the eyes of countless people. The two extremely terrifying attacks were like meteorites under the shocked gazes of the crowd. The ice dragon strike and the super railgun finally collided fiercely in the next instant. However, just as everyone covered their ears and waited for the earth-shaking explosion that was about to resound throughout this space, the collision in the arena strangely did not emit the slightest sound. Numerous stunned gazes followed their slow lifting of their heads, after which they looked at the arena. The ice blue and orange colors that were corroding each other back and forth like two clusters of water of different colors faced each other. Clearly, they did not understand why it was so quiet when two frightening energy bodies collided together. However, Wu Yan, Fei-Fei, Ka, and Jaffer were shocked to discover that the space where the two terrifying energy bodies collided actually started to distort. The arena suddenly became silent. Following the silence, everyone could faintly hear a faint hissing sound coming from the two energy bodies that were eroding each other back and forth in the arena. Wu Yan stared at the two energy bodies on the arena. His wine-red eyes were filled with solemnity as he clenched his fists tightly. The energy bodies didn't seem to be doing anything out of the ordinary, they're just corroding each other. However, Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. It's because of the alarm that's been ringing in his heart. On the arena, Mikoto and Mikoto's eyes were on the arena. Their hearts were in their throats as they watched the two energy bodies eroding and devouring each other. Their instincts are telling them that this time, they're in big trouble. When this thought arose in their minds, the two women's faces turned pale. At this moment, the two light balls and light beams that were constantly engulfing and entangling each other in the center of the field suddenly produced a strange phenomenon. Like boiling water, the two energy bodies started to fluctuate violently. Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, the two energy bodies suddenly expanded. Numerous gazes were dumbstruck as they stared at the two enormous balls of energy that had suddenly expanded in a strange manner. For some unknown reason, everyone felt an ominous premonition in their hearts at this moment. At this moment, the two energy bodies suddenly stopped their movements and became quiet. However, a strange and deep luster suddenly appeared. It looked like tiny dots of light that appeared on the two energy bodies. The space around them started to fluctuate. The dots of light within the two energy bodies started to expand rapidly. In the end, the dots of light became more and more dazzling. The space around the two energy bodies started to fluctuate even faster. Wu Yan frowned as he stared at the dots of light within the two energy bodies. After a while, Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat. Wu Yan's expression changed and he shouted at Ikaros. "Ikaros! Ikaros, who has been following behind Wu Yan the whole time, suddenly raised her head. Her indigo eyes lit up at Wu Yan's call. Variable wing system restriction, remove. In the next second, Ikaros' voice sounded like a machine. At the same time, a light flashed from Ikaros' body, and the gold-lined white uniform on her body slowly faded away. A set of white light armor replaced the original uniform and slowly covered Ikaros' body. A pair of pink wings spread out in front of everyone's shocked eyes. The pink wings emitted a faint blue light, and with a stretch, they turned into a pair of light wings that fluttered behind Ikaros' back. Sky Queen mode on. Her indigo pupils turned crimson, and a pure white halo floated above her head. Ikaros' hair also swelled up a little. Then, Ikaros disappeared. The moment Ikaros disappeared, the two energy bodies on the stage exploded like punctured balloons. A wave of violent energy filled the entire fifth floor of the arena tower. The next moment, boom! A glaring intense light scattered down from the arena. Energy wildly surged. The icy blue and orange energy bodies finally appeared to be unable to endure the unusual movement of energy. After a thunder-like explosion, they were accompanied by an extremely frightening storm that swept out from the middle of the arena. The space shook wherever the storm passed. Everyone's face was aghast. Looking at the rapidly expanding energy storm, they could vaguely feel how terrifying it is inside. If this storm were to spread here, everyone here would be caught in it. When that happens, the weaker ones here might just die on the spot. Everyone's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets as they watched the energy storm blow down from the stage. Most of the people who couldn't react in time were still in a daze. Only Fei, Kaya, and Jaffer were shouting something, but the crowd couldn't make out what they were saying. At this critical moment, a beautiful figure suddenly flashed into the air. A pair of blue light wings instantly spread out, causing her to stop in the air, slightly moving up and down. It's Ikaros. Everyone was stunned to see Ikaros descending like an angel, including Kaya, Jaffer, and Fei, who's already seen it before. They stared blankly at the angel in midair. For a moment they forgot about the terrifying energy storm. Ikaros's crimson eyes flashed, her sexy lips parted slightly, and a voice that seemed to come from the depths of the sky rang out. It sounded like the voices of countless people overlapping each other. Aegis, absolute defense circle. As the voice fell, a light suddenly flashed from the center of the energy storm. The light flashed rapidly, and then turned into a crystal wall that looked like a beehive. With a shake, it spread out, and in the blink of an eye, it shrouded the energy storm that had not had time to invade the stage. At the same time, another figure also dashed into the stage with extreme speed. Before Ikaros' Aegis, absolute defense circle, could close in on itself, that person pulled the two girls who were stunned by the sudden change into his arms. Then, he flashed away again. A series of muffled sounds came from the Aegis, absolute defense circle. That's the sound of the energy storm hitting the barrier. After a while, it finally stopped with a muffled sound, then it turned into a breeze and disappeared. Chapter 341. In the end, the energy storm didn't manage to break through Ikaros' Aegis. After a muffled sound, it faded away, leaving behind only the barrier of Aegis. Its flickering in the ruined arena, telling everyone that what happened just now was real. The students stared at Aegis blankly for a moment before turning to look at the angel in midair. Their expressions turned into one of infatuation. The wings of light behind his back gently fluttered, and in an instant, they turned back into pink wings. The pure white halo also disappeared, and the deep red pupils turned back into a pitiful indigo color. The sexy white light armor on his body also turned back into the student uniform. However, this only made the students who were already dumbfounded even more dumbfounded. If Ikaros in Sky Empress mode is her strongest form, then her normal form is her most beautiful form. The pink wings fluttered gently, the feathers on them fluttered to the ground. Ikaros looked like an angel bathed in pink feathers. One has to admit, Ikaros in her current state is truly beautiful. She's so beautiful that even Ka, who's usually indifferent to women's charms, couldn't help but fall into a daze. She's so beautiful that even Jaffer, who's always looked down on women, couldn't help but look up at the sky with a strange expression. She's so beautiful that even Sylph, who's usually indifferent to everything, couldn't help but stare at Ikaros with a hint of envy in her icy blue eyes. She's so beautiful that everyone's mind went blank, even the females. At this moment, Ikaros has become a goddess in the hearts of countless people. But it's a pity that this beauty will forever belong to Ikaros, the master in her heart, of course. While everyone else is stunned, Wu Yen isn't. Wu Yen is the one who understands Ikaros' beauty the most. After all, he's tasted her beauty countless times. It's only natural that he wouldn't be immersed in such a scene. While everyone else was dumbfounded, Wu Yan's face was filled with anger. His eyes were filled with rage, and his rage could be seen flickering in them. Mikoto, who's stunned like everyone else. Her slightly pale face made Wu Yan's heart ache, but at the same time, he's also angered. Wu Yan raised his hand and knocked on Mikoto and Sylph's head. A crisp sound echoed in the silent arena. "Ah, it hurts!" Mikoto cried out in pain. She covered her head with both hands. A teardrop fell from the corner of her eye. It's cute, but Wu Yan, who's filled with anger, didn't have the mood to appreciate it. "You can still feel pain?" Wu Yan pointed at Mikoto and shouted. "Do you know that if I didn't react in time, you wouldn't even have the chance to cry out in pain?" Holding her head, Mikoto looked at Wu Yan, pointing at her and yelling at her in a daze. She didn't react for a while. After all, in her memory, this is the first time Wu Yan yelled at her. Looking at Wu Yan's angry face, Mikoto weakly said, I didn't do it on purpose." "You didn't do it on purpose?" Wu Yan was enraged by Mikoto's words. He didn't hesitate to yell at her. "Can you explain your actions just by saying that you didn't do it on purpose? Do you know what you've done? Even if you want to win, there should be a limit. Do you think it's fun to joke around with your own life? Do you think it'll satisfy your desire to win? This is a duel, not a fight to the death. Even if it's a fight to the death, I'll be the one fighting, not you." Wu Yan yelled at Mikoto. Mikoto was stunned. Standing in front of Wu Yan, Mikoto couldn't help but be intimidated by Wu Yan's aura. She looked like a child who made a mistake. She lowered her head and didn't dare to speak again. But in her heart, a warm current flowed out. She's never seen Wu Yan this angry. Being familiar with Wu Yan, Mikoto knew that Wu Yan was extremely worried about her. That's why the strong Mikoto was willing to lower her head at this moment. "Yan, I was wrong. Please forgive me." Mikoto said this with a smile on her face. "You're still smiling?" Wu Yan glared at Mikoto. Shoujo quickly pulled Wu Yan back and rolled her eyes at Mikoto. Then she said to Wu Yan, "All right, Yan. Don't be angry anymore. You know Mikoto's personality. It's so hard to find a suitable opponent. If she doesn't give it her all, she won't be satisfied. So you're going to risk your life?" Wu Yan snorted. But the anger in his heart wasn't as big as before. It's just that he's still a little angry. Mikoto smiled apologetically and looked at Shoujo gratefully. In return, Shoujo rolled her eyes again. It's obvious that Shoujo isn't happy with Mikoto's actions. Sylph stared at Wu Yan in disbelief. She clutched the spot where Wu Yan knocked her on the head. Sylph grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth. No one dared to hit her like this. This is the first time in Sylph's life that Wu Yan slapped her. This is the first time in her life that Wu Yan slapped her. She had mixed feelings about it. If Sylph knew that Wu Yan knocked her head casually, what would she think? Sylph regained her composure and slowly stood up. She looked at Mikoto and coldly said, "Let's continue." Hearing that, everyone was stunned. Wu Yan almost choked himself to death. He almost played himself to death, and he still wants to continue. Even if he wants to die, he shouldn't be thinking like this. He wanted to scold Sylph, but he's not familiar with her. He doesn't have the right to do so. Wu Yan glanced at Mikoto coldly. Mikoto's body trembled, and she quickly waved her hands. No, it's already like this. There's no need to continue. Sylph frowned and asked, so you're admitting defeat? Mikoto smiled bitterly. She was unwilling to admit defeat. But if she doesn't, Yan Liangchuan won't allow her to fight again. Mikoto was in a difficult position. Sylph seemed to have guessed Mikoto's thoughts. She looked at Mikoto and then at Wu Yen before muttering to herself. After a while, she raised her head. We'll continue next time during the tournament. After that, Sylph ignored Wu Yen and the others. She looked at Ikaros and her eyes flashed. In the end, she turned around and left with Snow Song's people. Jaffer pursed his lips and looked down at Mikoto and Ikaros. His gaze paused on Ikaros for a bit before he snorted loudly and turned to leave. Ka didn't leave with the two of them. He was staring at Ikaros with a strange look in his eyes. It's almost as if he's looking at his sweetheart. Wu Yen frowned and stepped in front of Ikaros. Ka finally realized what he did and awkwardly scratched his face. He looked at Ikaros and smiled bitterly. I didn't expect Miss Ikaros to be so secretive. Ka, I've misjudged you. After that, Ka glanced at Ikaros's wings. His mouth twitched, but in the end, he didn't ask anything. He looked at Ikaros with a bit of reluctance and left as well. Wu Yen, Shoujo, and Mikoto looked at each other with a strange expression. Only Ikaros continued to stand behind Wu Yen, as if nothing had anything to do with her. Chapter 342. Without a doubt, the Spalier World Academy is going to be bustling with noise and excitement again. The news of the battle between the strongest student and the new special student spread like wildfire across the entire Silveria World Institute in less than a day. Many people were shocked by the news. Many of the special students who didn't go to the arena tower that day were filled with regret after listening to their companions' vivid narration of the battle. As for the ordinary and elite students who couldn't enter the 5th floor, they were all very dissatisfied. They scolded the upper echelons of the academy. Why didn't they do a live broadcast like the day when the new special students challenged the 9 great powers? What's even more unbelievable is that Misaka Mikoto, who was with the new special student Wu Yen, fought the strongest student, Princess Sylph, to a draw. Many people didn't believe it at first, but when the news spread, they had no choice but to believe it. At the same time, the students who were listening to the narration also heard about the terrifying energy storm at the end. Their hearts trembled and they were glad that they didn't go that day. When they asked how they were fine in the end, their companions gave them an explanation that left them dumbfounded. Angel. She's a beautiful angel. She saved us. Fine, let's not talk about what kind of uproar this statement caused. To sum it up, Mikoto is on fire, Ikaros is on fire, even Wu Yen, who was on fire once, Hinajuku and Wu Yen are also on fire. The new special student has become a hot topic in the Spalier World Academy. While the people outside were talking about their exploits, Wu Yen brought the girls back to the villa and let the students talk about him as if he was some kind of god. Currently, Wu Yen is sitting in his room. He took out the armaments from his space ring and placed them on the table, filling up the entire table. Wu Yen is dissatisfied with the battle between Mikoto and Sylph. However, he has to admit that the battle between the two made Wu Yen realize that he's still not strong enough. He thought that with his current strength, he would be able to stand at the top of Silveria World Institute even if he didn't use Meteor Shower. However, the appearance of Sylph, Ka, and Jaffer made Wu Yen realize how naive he is. There will never be a lack of geniuses in this world. Wu Yen knew this, but he still looked down on the people of the Spalier world. In his opinion, the people of this world are nothing compared to the monsters of the 2D world. That's the truth. The people of the Spalier world may not be comparable to the monsters of the 2D world, but they're more than capable. There are 5 demigods in this world. According to the system, there are no gods in the dungeons. In other words, demigods are the strongest in the 2D world. Today, the appearance of the 3 Tier 8 students and the battle between Mikoto and Sylph made Wu Yen realize that he's still not strong enough. That's why Wu Yen wants to increase his strength as soon as possible. There are several ways to increase his strength. The first is to level up honestly. However, ever since he became famous, how many people in the Spalier World Academy dared to fight him? Even if they dared to, most of them wouldn't be hostile to him. And for battles without hostility, the system wouldn't give him any experience. Last time, it was only because he had slightly offended the people of the 9 major forces that he was able to get some experience. Now, it was estimated that not many people would be hostile to him and fight with him, right? What's more, when Mikoto reached level 70, it took her a long time to grind her way up. Right now, I'm only level 68. The remaining 2 levels won't be that easy to level up. That's why he can only pass on the first method. The second method is to exchange for abilities like the last time he exchanged for infinite arms. The last time he exchanged for infinite arms, Wu Yan's strength increased by leaps and bounds. After all, Wu Yan's combat prowess and skills are already very beneficial to him. Not to mention, Wu Yan also has the body of a true ancestor. Adding these 2 together, Wu Yan's strength increased by a lot. Exchanging abilities is also a way to increase one's strength. Now that he has enough ability points, Wu Yan has his eyes on one of the abilities. However, this ability needs to be combined with the equipment he wants to exchange for in order to maximize its effectiveness. Thus, it's best to exchange for the equipment he wants first before deciding what to do next. Close to 20 common armaments were placed together by Wu Yan. It's quite a sight. However, Wu Yan felt it was a pity. After all, they're only common armaments and they'll be gone soon. During the auction, Wu Yan calculated that these common armaments can be exchanged for 20,000 equipment points. Combined with the points he already has, it's just enough to exchange for the equipment he wants. With a wave of his hand, the 20 common armaments disappeared. Wu Yan handed them over to the system. As expected, the system notified him that he received 20,000 equipment points. Opening the system, Wu Yan clicked on the equipment bar. He found the equipment and locked onto it. Gate of Babylon, special equipment. A sword in the shape of a key connected to the Golden City. It can be connected to a treasure vault with a separate space, which is the Golden City. You can freely take out or store items from it. You can also use the equipment in the Gate of Babylon like bullets for shooting and combat. The stronger the equipment in the Gate of Babylon, the more types of equipment, the higher the level of the Gate of Babylon, and the more powerful it is. Note: starting level is D, maximum level is A, 500,000 equipment points. Wu Yan confirmed that there was a value of 501,000 in his equipment points column. He clicked the exchange button on the spot. Ding! Obtained Gate of Babylon. Following the system notification, his equipment points increased from 51,000 to 1,000. A golden sword in the shape of a key appeared in his hand. It glowed with a rich golden light, as if it was telling Wu Yan that it was made of real gold. Weighing the golden sword in his hand, Wu Yan raised it vertically, and then slowly moved it upwards. Suddenly, the tip of the golden sword slowly disappeared into the air, as if it had been inserted into a door. It was directly inserted into the air. A circle of ripples appeared in the air, which made Wu Yan click his tongue in wonder. Then, Wu Yan held the golden sword in his hand and turned it to the side. Following Wu Yan's movement, the golden sword actually disintegrated, turning into a stream of light that looked like data. It entered the ripples in the air, and at the same time, the ripples in the air spread out. The ripples in the air spread all over the place, until a moment later, the ripples suddenly turned into a golden light, spreading to both sides like a door opening. Then, a crimson space appeared in front of Wu Yan. This was the Gate of Babylon. On the other side of the Gate of Babylon, in the crimson space, was the Gate of Babylon's treasure vault, the Gate of Gold. But unlike that upstart gold shiny's Gate of Babylon, His gate of Babylon is still empty, there's nothing in it. After transferring the meteor knight, Shana of Nein Temple, and everything in his own space ring into the gate of Babylon, Wu Yen waved his hand and closed the crimson space in front of him. From now on, the gate of Babylon will be Wu Yan's only equipment. At the same time, it will serve as his own space ring. It's time for the space ring to retire. Chapter 343. Character, Wu Yen Ability, True Ancestor Bloodline, Infinite Martial Arts, Electromaster, LV5, Equipment, Gate of Babylon, Rank D, Summons, Misaka Mikoto, Katsura Hinajaku Ikaros, Astria, Flandra? Scarlet, Shokuho Misaki, Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku, Misaka Sisters, 20,000 Equipment Points, 1,000 Item Points, 660000 Ability Points, 181000 Summoning Points, 350000 Level, 68. After confirming his various status values, Wu Yen deactivated the system projection. He rubbed the S.P.A.C. ring he took off from his finger and started contemplating. Now that he had obtained the Gate of Babylon, the next step was to collect some armaments and try to raise the level of the Gate of Babylon. If the Gate of Babylon loses the support of a large amount of equipment, then it will be useless. However, it will not be easy to level up the Gate of Babylon either. Rank B Meteor Knight, Rank C Nein Temple of Shana, and a few other rare armaments were not enough to level up the Gate of Babylon. One could imagine how difficult it would be to level it up. But if he only needs a large amount of equipment to make the Gate of Babylon work, Wu Yen has a trick up his sleeve. Of course, this method also requires the cooperation of an ability. With this ability, the Gate of Babylon could be used immediately, and it might even be able to level up. But I still don't have enough ability points. Taking out his record card, Wu Yen bitterly smiled when he saw the number 0 on it. I guess I'll have to go to the Tower of Tournament. He casually tossed the record card away, and space suddenly fluctuated. A burst of crimson spatial ripples suddenly flashed, and in the next instant, the record card was swallowed by the crimson spatial ripples. Wu Yen walked out of the room and went downstairs. He saw Shoujo, Mikoto, and Ikaros. For some reason, the three girls don't like to stay in the room and they don't like to go outside. Whenever they have time, they would stay in the living room and chat. Who knows how many topics girls have to talk about? Of course, the only ones chatting are Shoujo and Mikoto. Ikaros plays the role of a qualified listener. She will only answer when someone asks her something. As for Flandra-chan, she's the one who goes out the most. Maybe it's because she was locked up in Fantasy Township for quite some time. Plus, with Flandra-chan as her companion, Flandra-chan would go out from time to time. If it wasn't for Fei-Fei arranging for someone to watch over Flandra-chan and Liren in secret, Wu Yen wouldn't be at ease letting Flandra-chan run around in such a big school. Shoujo, Mikoto, and Ikaros also noticed Wu Yen coming down. The moment Wu Yen appeared, the three girls immediately focused their attention on him. Wu Yen couldn't help but smile. Shoujo stood up. You came down? You're done? Shoujo and the others more or less knew what Wu Yen was doing, but they never participated. Wu Yen felt helpless. After all, Wu Yen originally wanted to find some equipment from the system for the two girls. Unfortunately, other than White Cherry, Shoujo has no interest in other equipment. Mikoto even told Wu Yen directly that she doesn't need any equipment. Her ability is more than enough. Wu Yen couldn't help but worry. Hearing Shoujo's question, Wu Yen didn't nod or shake his head. Instead, he shrugged helplessly. I have some plans. At this time, Wu Yen walked up to the three girls. Ikaros handed him a drink. He smiled at her and pondered for a bit before ordering a cup of noodles. Then, he turned to Shoujo, Mikoto, and Ikaros. Mikoto, Shoujo, Ikaros. You guys passed the first 4 floors of the Tower of Arena, right? Did you use your credits? The three girls shook their heads. Mikoto asked suspiciously. What's wrong? Do you want to use it? After that, Mikoto handed her record card to Wu Yen. Shoujo and Ikaros quickly took out their cards as well. Wu Yen quickly waved his hand. You don't have to give it to me. Just help me make a trip to the trading district or the free trade district. Shoujo and Mikoto looked at each other and put away their cards. Whether it was them to Wu Yen or Wu Yen to them, they didn't need to be courteous with their relationship. Is there anything you want? Seeing Hinajuku and Mikoto being so straightforward with him, Wu Yen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Looks like they don't really want to be otaku girls after all. Maybe it's because they weren't familiar with the academy, that's why they couldn't decide where to go, Wu Yen said. Help me buy some special ores. Special ores. The two girls were surprised. They didn't know what Wu Yen wanted to do. But they didn't plan to ask right away. They'll find out sooner or later anyway. How special? Mikoto said with a frown. The word special held a lot of meaning. Wu Yen mused for a bit before he came up with a range of possibilities. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it has to be tough enough. Some ores with good toughness don't cost too many credits, just a bit more. Hinajuku and Mikoto couldn't help rolling their eyes at him. If he's asking for too much, how can he not spend more credits? Even if he spends all of his credits, it wouldn't be surprising at all. Wu Yen smiled sheepishly. He knows his words are contradictory, but that's what he meant, so he didn't think too much about it. Receiving the two girls rolling their eyes at him, he could only accept it. Shoujo crossed her arms and asked, You want us to run errands, what are you going to do? Wu Yen smiled and stood up. I'm going to challenge the arena tower. Wu Yen had heard about the strength of the 5th floor master from Feifei. He was at the peak of rank 7 and was only one step away from rank 8. He was much stronger than the 4th floor master. Using the system's explanation, the 4th floor master was level 60, and the 5th floor master was level 69. The difference of one floor was almost an entire tier. Against the floor master, a tier 7 pinnacle, Wu Yen doesn't have a 100% guarantee of victory. Of course, in terms of chances of victory, Wu Yen is confident that he will be the one with the higher chance of victory. After passing through the first floor's teleportation circle, Wu Yen silently chose to go to the 5th floor. Then, under the pointing of the special students who recognized him, he walked into the 5th floor's teleportation circle. His vision blurred and Wu Yen felt that he had arrived in another space. However, to Wu Yen's surprise, the scene in front of him was no longer a room with an arena. It was a rocky field. Wu Yen almost thought that he was already outside the arena tower. If it wasn't for a figure not far from him, he wouldn't have been able to see it. It was a burly man. In terms of build, he was about the same as Strongman. However, Strongman didn't give Wu Yen the same feeling as the figure in front of him. He didn't give off a threatening vibe. You're finally here? A powerful voice came from the burly man, who was the 5th floor master. The 5th floor master stood up from the ground and grinned. I thought you weren't going to go to the 6th floor? Wu Yen flinched and asked in a surprised tone. You know me? I know you, of course I know you. Rumors about you have been flying around the academy for a long time. The 5th floor master said and then laughed. I am the 5th floor master. Challenger. Do you want to fight? Wu Yen smiled. Of course. The 5th floor master lowered his head and then raised it up. He swung his fist at the rocky mountain beside him. After a loud boom, the rocky mountain that was 5 times larger than him was reduced to rubble. Then, let's begin. Chapter 344. A mountain of rocks, which was almost 10 meters high, was finally reduced to rubble by the fist and scattered at the feet of the tower master of the 5th floor. Wu Yan's face turned serious when he saw this. He could feel that the 5th floor master didn't use any do-chi when he threw that punch. In other words, that destructive power was purely his body's strength. It would not be surprising if such an effect was produced by using do-chi. As long as one was at the 7th rank or higher, one would be able to achieve such an effect. However, to have such an effect without using Do Chi, that was terrifying. Although a warrior who cultivates Do Chi will have their body's strength increase when they advance, it might not even be possible for a rank 8 warrior to reach the 5th floor master's level. He's different from Li Shi. Li Shi's body is just a facade. The reason he has such terrifying strength is because of his battle skills. However, the 5th floor master is different. It can be seen that the other party must have specially trained his physical body. Moreover, he must have trained his physical body to such a level. If he were to add battle chi or some battle skills to his body during battle, Li Shi can't compare to him at all. What? The 5th floor master's face twitched. Scared? Scared? Wu Yen clenched his fist and laughed. Maybe later, but right now this isn't enough. The true ancestor's body gave Wu Yen a terrifying amount of physical prowess. Infinite arms refinement allowed Wu Yen to push his body to its limit. Wu Yen wanted to see if his body was stronger than the true ancestor's body that was tempered through countless trials and tribulations. Is that so? The 5th floor master's eyelids slowly drooped and he suddenly roared. Then let's see if you can take a punch from me. The 5th floor master stomped his foot on the ground, creating a hole in the hard ground. He instantly appeared in front of Wu Yen and threw a punch. Its speed is actually so fast. Wu Yan's face turned serious. The fist in front of him is getting bigger and bigger. Wherever the fist goes, 10,000 breaths would retreat. With the power of the fist, if it hits Wu Yan's body, he would have to spit out some blood. The wisest choice in the face of this fist was to retreat. However, since Wu Yen had made up his mind to test the strength of a true ancestor, he naturally wouldn't retreat. Clenching his fist and swinging it backwards, he leaned his body to the side, and with this miraculous tilt, all the strength in his body was mobilized in an instant and concentrated into his fist. In a short span of time, he finished gathering his strength. Then, he faced the incoming fist and threw a punch straight at it. Bam! The 5th floor master was twice as tall as Wu Yen. When his fist landed, it created a condescending effect. Not only did it increase the strength, but it also caused the impact of the fist to hit Wu Yen directly. The ground beneath Wu Yen instantly shattered. A 2-meter-wide hole appeared beneath Wu Yen and the 5th floor master's feet. One could imagine how strong the 5th floor master's punch was. However, although the effect of this punch was strong, it couldn't hide the fact that this punch had been blocked by Wu Yen. The 5th floor master was stunned. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He had never thought that anyone would be able to take his punch head-on. However, the force that came from the fist that collided with his own told the 5th floor master that all of this was real. Therefore, the 5th floor master was very excited. Competing at the opponent's proudest point would usually lead to 2 results. The first was that a narrow-minded and arrogant person would be angry. The second was that a broad-minded and passionate person would be excited. As for the master of the 5th floor, it was obvious that it was the latter. Good. Good. The 5th floor master laughed loudly. His voice was filled with excitement and joy. How long has it been? How long has it been since someone could take my punch head-on? Wu Yen, you really live up to the rumors about you in the academy. You are very strong. My impression of you has changed. After he finished speaking, the 5th floor master licked the corner of his lip. His bare eyes were blazing with flames. That was the burning battle intent. Wu Yen, take another punch from me. Immediately, the 5th floor master retracted the punch that had been blocked by Wu Yen and threw another punch. This time, this punch directly stirred up the atmosphere wherever it passed. Compared to the previous punch, the power of this punch was at least twice as strong. It had to be said that the 5th floor master was indeed a bold and unrestrained person. After being provoked by him, Wu Yen actually felt a little hot-blooded. At that moment, Wu Yen also laughed heroically. Don't talk about one punch. I will accompany you with 100 punches. Wu Yan's voice rang out and a small fist appeared in front of the floor master's terrifying fist. The small fist wasn't like the big fist where the air would disperse in its wake. Instead, the small fist collided with the floor master's fist without any hesitation. After a dull thud, the hole beneath Wu Yan and the fifth floor master's feet widened by another meter. The impact of the impact was directly under their feet. The rocky ground was destined to become a mess. This time, the fifth floor master didn't waste any more words. He pushed forward fiercely and stabilized his body. Then, he threw another punch with his other hand. Wu Yan didn't meet the fifth floor master's fist with his fist. Instead, he used his palm to block the fifth floor master's fist with a pause sound. Then, he kicked the fifth floor master's chest. With a bang, the fifth floor master was caught off guard and was kicked in the chest by Wu Yan. The fifth floor master gritted his teeth and roared. He also grabbed Wu Yan's hand and pulled him over. Then, he threw a punch at Wu Yan's chest. With the same dull thud, the two of them flew out at the same time and separated. However, not long after, the two of them stabilized themselves in midair and stood on the ground. The fifth floor master's expression had completely calmed down. However, the battle intent in his eyes didn't diminish. He slowly took out a pair of boxing gloves and silently put them on. That was a rare armament. Wu Yan narrowed his eyes. He had even taken out an armament. This meant that the fifth floor master was planning to use his full strength. This was indeed the truth. In just a few breaths' time, a shocking do-chi suddenly erupted from the fifth floor master's body. The enormous do-chi crazily surged, after which all of it surged into the boxing gloves. While Wu Yan's expression changed slightly, he saw the fifth floor master's body crouch down. In an instant, he turned into an afterimage. His fist shot out and swiftly landed on Wu Yan's chest. The moment the fifth floor master made his move, Wu Yan, who had been cautious for a long time, focused his eyes. His feet stomped on the ground and his arms immediately stretched out. A ferocious green vein popped out on Wu Yan's arm. Wu Yan clenched his fist and mobilized all the strength in his body. After which, he raised his arm and threw a punch. Clang! In the next moment, the two fists collided with each other with a loud bang. A fierce gust of wind suddenly swept out in all directions, directly blowing the gravel around the two of them into the air. The originally hard ground had turned into the weakest tofu at this moment. Under the terrifying force, it crumbled into pieces in an instant. Following the wind that swept out, it blew in all directions. If there were any spectators at the side at this moment, or if the place where this duel was taking place was not here but the fifth floor, it was likely that just the rocks that swept out would be enough to make the spectators suffer. Moreover, it was clearly a fist against a fist, a direct collision of strength. However, after the two fists collided, a clang sound was emitted. It was simply unimaginable. However, from another perspective, this also showed just what kind of level the collision of strength between the two had reached. Chapter 345. The veins on Wu Yan's arms were already bulging wildly as he resisted the frightening force that was attacking him. The strength of the fifth floor master, who was originally very frightening, had become indescribable after being supported by his do-chi and the rare armament. Wu Yan clenched his teeth tightly. His eyes turned cold as he stepped out with his left leg. His body was in a semicircular position, while his right leg was like lightning as it lashed out like a whip. At the same time that Wu Yan's right leg lashed out, the muscles on his leg moved at a frequency that could not be seen with the naked eye. After this movement, the strength of Wu Yan's leg increased by quite a bit. Following this, the long whip-like leg carried an indescribable wild and violent strength. This leg was violently lashed out at the chest of the fifth floor master. This kick did not have the slightest warm-up. The moment he attacked, it was an extremely ferocious attack. This was because Wu Yan clearly understood that any warm-up or probing would be useless when faced with a peak rank 7 opponent like the fifth floor master. What Wu Yen needed was to continuously unleash his strength and use all of his strength to deal with his opponent. The frightening strength of the kick tore apart the air and the ground, after which it landed on the chest of the fifth-floor master at lightning speed. The low and deep sound of rushing wind was ear-piercing. An ominous glint gathered in the eyes of the fifth-floor master. He had also sensed how powerful Wu Yan's attack was. However, he did not have any thoughts of underestimating it. For someone like him, if he always had such thoughts in his heart, it was likely that he would not be able to take on the role of the fifth-floor master. His skin had already been pierced by the wind from Wu Yan's kick. The fifth-floor master knew that Wu Yan must have used some kind of battle technique to have such strength. Otherwise, Wu Yan's strength would not have been so sharp. What the fifth-floor master did not know was that Wu Yan did not use any battle technique. However, there was nothing wrong with it. After all, using the endless martial refining skill to unleash one's strength was also considered a side battle technique. The fifth-floor master, who thought that Wu Yan had used a battle technique, no longer hid it. One of his palms suddenly rotated into a fist, after which a black light suddenly erupted from his arm. The do-chi that was originally gathered on his fist was actually emitting a black light. It was like a black hole that started to rotate above the fifth-floor master's fist. At the same time, a boundless aura gushed out from the fist enveloped by the black hole. It blew at Wu Yan, who was very close to it. Wu Yan's pupils shrunk when he sensed the aura. "Black killing fist!" the fifth-floor master shouted. Immediately, the black hole, threw a punch and punched towards Wu Yan. Chi! Wu Yan's expression changed. The fifth-floor master's punch did not have much momentum, but the wind from the punch was filled with a monstrous killing intent. That killing intent was as cold as a solid black wind. It was like the fist of the Grim Reaper. It gave Wu Yan the illusion that this was the only thing left in the world. The black killing fist was indeed worthy of the word kill. It could actually trigger such a terrifying killing intent. Regardless of whether it was an illusion or reality, this punch was definitely a sure kill punch. Looking at the black kill fist coming at him, even though it's moving at a slow speed, he felt like he's being locked in place. His instincts told him that he can't dodge this fist, he can't dodge it. However, if he did not dodge and took it head-on, even if he had the strength of a true ancestor and the help of infinite martial refinement, there was no way he would be able to take this punch unscathed. Seeing that the black kill fist was about to land on his chest, he knew that he would be seriously injured in the next moment. At this critical moment, his wine-red eyes flashed with a bright light. Beep, beep, beep. Suddenly, bluish-white lightning flashed from Wu Yan's body. As the dense bluish-white light flashed, it dispersed the black light on the black killing fist by quite a bit. Immediately after, Wu Yan seemed to be condensing a super railgun, as all the lightning on his body surged towards his fist. As all the lightning condensed on Wu Yan's fist was actually like the black killing fist, suffusing a dense light. However, the black killing fist was black light, while Wu Yan's fist was bluish-white light. His face glowed with a bluish-white radiance. Wu Yan focused his gaze and his fist glowing with bluish-white radiance met the black kill fist. Lightning light fist! Come on! The fifth-floor master roared wildly. Immediately, the black killing fist and the lightning light fist met fiercely. Purring! The black killing fist heavily collided with the lightning light fist, covered with lightning. The bluish-white light and the black light swept out at almost the same time, like two ferocious wolves, crazily devouring and eroding. Pung, pung, pung! The ground where the two of them were standing directly crumbled. Huge fissures like a spider web crazily spread out from under their feet. The entire rocky ground collapsed by 1/5 in an instant. Swoosh! Wu Yan's eyes were incomparably serious. The black killing fist was indeed very strong. The lightning light fist, that he created on the spot was actually blocked by the fifth-floor master's black killing fist. This was enough to prove that the power of the black killing fist was comparable to the power of lightning. Wu Yan did not know that the fifth-floor master was also praising his lightning light fist in his heart. One had to know that the black killing fist was his only battle skill and also his strongest battle skill. He had immersed himself in the black killing fist for his entire life and had never practiced any other battle skills. It was all for the sake of raising the power of the black killing fist to an unprecedented peak. Yet, this punch was blocked by him, of course. While they were thinking, the two of them did not forget that it was now time for a battle. Therefore, all the thoughts in their hearts were instantly put away. Wu Yan's eyes narrowed slightly as he withdrew his fist. However, just as he withdrew his fist halfway, lightning flashed on his fist once again. Then, it whistled out once again, bringing with it streaks of lightning and ear-piercing sonic booms as it attacked the fifth-floor master at lightning speed. The lightning light fist was thrown out once again. The lightning light rapidly enlarged in the fifth-floor master's eyes. Wu Yan's torrential attacks caused the fifth-floor master's eyes to be filled with ferocity. He clenched his right fist tightly as black light spread out and suddenly punched out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Punched out. Punched out. Punched out again. Fist shadows filled the sky and filled the air in front of Wu Yan. Above those fist shadows, there was a monstrous black light that surged with astonishing fluctuations. Bang, bang, bang. The fist wind and the fist shadows finally collided together in all directions. The commotion was undoubtedly earth-shattering. The entire ground seemed to tremble violently at this moment. Pieces of rock directly exploded into powder under the force of the wind. The intense tremors undulated within the rocky ground that was filled with dust. The rocky ground had already collapsed to the point that it could not collapse any further. A gentle breeze blew over and scattered the dust. Soon after, the sound of rushing wind hurriedly sounded. Two figures flew out from the dust. Their feet rubbed against the ground, creating long gullies. At this moment, the fifth-floor master's hair was already in a state where it was scattered. His fist was slanted towards the ground as a drop of fresh blood dripped from it. On his chest, one could faintly see a couple of eye-piercing black scorch marks. Opposite him, there were also some bloody scars on Wu Yan's arm. Fresh blood dripped down from his fist. If one took a closer look, one would be able to see that the area between their thumb and forefinger had already split open. However, on the surface, Wu Yan undoubtedly held the upper hand. After all, Wu Yan's area between his thumb and forefinger had only split open. On the other hand, the fifth-floor master's appearance was rather miserable. Moreover, the black scorch marks on his chest proved who was the one who had lasted until the end in the previous storm of attacks. The two of them exchanged blows in a flash, but it was extremely fierce. This kind of contest of strength against strength, this kind of direct battle, was not only the most exciting, but also the most dangerous and ruthless at the same time. Chapter 346. Wu Yan slowly raised his bleeding fist and clenched it gently. Then, he brought it to his mouth and licked it clean. Wu Yan was stunned when he finished licking the blood off his fist. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What he had just done was completely subconscious. It was the subconscious action of a true ancestor like Wu Yan. Wu Yan had never imagined that the first blood he would taste after becoming a true ancestor and getting rid of his blood-sucking urges would be his own. However, he wasn't lazy. The taste of blood snickering, Wu Yan's wine-red eyes suddenly turned golden. This meant that Wu Yan was about to go all out. The fifth-floor master was some distance away from Wu Yan, so he didn't see the change in Wu Yan's eyes. However, he did see Wu Yan licking his own blood. He couldn't help but be stunned. For some reason, when he saw Wu Yan licking his own blood and smiling evilly, the fifth-floor master felt a chill run down his spine. This was the feeling of encountering a natural enemy. This wasn't strange. After all, humans were one of the main sources of food for vampires. The fifth floor master, who felt a chill in his heart, was stunned again. This time, he was stunned because of Wu Yan's hand. His hand, which had split open a second ago, was now completely fine. The fifth floor master stared at Wu Yan in a daze. A strange feeling rose in his heart. Could his saliva be used to heal? And the healing effect was so good? As he thought about this, the fifth floor master glanced at the charred area on his chest. His eyes were a little blank. Should I ask him to lick it for me later? If Wu Yan knew that the floor master wanted him to lick the floor master's chest, Wu Yan might just throw in the towel and admit defeat. Wu Yan looked at the fifth floor master and said loudly, "It's time to end this battle." The fifth floor master raised his head and looked deeply at Wu Yan. The pain in his chest was still clearly reflected in his mind. It seemed to be telling the fifth floor master he was about to lose. The fifth floor master took a few deep breaths and tried his best to straighten his back. He laughed a few times, but his voice was indescribably pale. After all, in the previous exchange, he had taken several punches from Wu Yan's lightning fist, which was comparable to his black kill fist. If it wasn't for Wu Yan subconsciously holding back his strength and the fact that the fifth floor master's body was stronger than anyone else's, he would have been lying on the ground. The intense pain in his chest was transmitted to the fifth floor master's mind. However, he forced himself to stand up straight and stood in front of Wu Yan. He gently raised his hands, battle chi surging, black light gathering. If he didn't fight to the last moment, he wouldn't be able to accept defeat. "Come on!" The fifth floor master roared and condensed all his battle chi into his final move, black kill fist. After this punch, regardless of whether he won or lost, the fifth floor master wouldn't be able to continue fighting. As the saying goes, the person who understands you the most is usually not your best friend, but your enemy. Although Wu Yan wasn't the fifth floor master's enemy, he could be considered a temporary opponent for the fifth floor master. The collision of fists wasn't just the most exciting, it was also the easiest way to feel the other party's heart. Wu Yan couldn't help but admire the fifth floor master's persistence. It was rare, really rare. For Wu Yan to admire someone, it was rare even in the two-dimensional world. In the spalier world, it was also a first. His cold golden pupils flashed with a hint of graveness. Wu Yan felt that he was right in wanting to give it his all. Because, in front of such an opponent, if he didn't give it his all, then he would be letting down the respect in his heart. Therefore, he had to give it his all. Beep beep beep. A thunderous roar resounded from Wu Yan's body. Crazy electric currents ran through Wu Yan's body at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. An unprecedented power of thunder and lightning was released from Wu Yan's body. As the thunder and lightning surged, the ground Wu Yan was standing on actually caved in deeply with Wu Yan as the center. The electric currents couldn't help but flow to the ground where Wu Yan was standing. The ground around him was completely destroyed. A slight vibration came from the ground. Some of the large and small stones around Wu Yan seemed to have lost their gravity and floated up. The fifth floor master was shocked and then smiled bitterly. He fought with his opponent until he was injured. When he was about to use his final attack, he found out that his opponent was only going to use his full strength now. Was there anything more tragic than this? In any case, the fifth floor master was trembling with fear. He felt that he was about to die. However, at the same time, the fifth floor master also felt a burst of excitement. The blood in his body started to flow faster. Obviously, he was hot-blooded. Ha 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 ha. Come on. Come on. Come on. The fifth floor master ignored the pain in his body and laughed loudly. Then, the black light seemed to come back to life. It suddenly expanded and the black hole on the black kill fist expanded several times. The final attack. All the thunder and lightning on his body instantly stopped roaring. It was like the calm before the storm. The sound disappeared, but the speed didn't. In an instant, it condensed on Wu Yan's fist. Super Black Kill Fist. The fifth floor master shouted and stomped on the ground. He grabbed the huge black hole and rushed towards Wu Yen. Adding a super, could it be that the power will multiply? Wu Yen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, there was a smile on his face. A ray of light flashed in his golden eyes. Wu Yen raised his hand and flew towards the fifth floor master. Super Lightning Light Fist. The distance of 12 meters was reduced to 1 meter in less than a second under the two's flying speed. The two looked at each other and then threw out a punch. The blue and white light and the black light suddenly became stronger. Boom! A loud explosion resounded throughout the entire space. The ground, which no longer had any space left to destroy, directly collapsed. Pieces of rock flew in all directions with the explosion as the epicenter. In this space, only the blue and white light and the black light that occupied the sky and earth were left. However, not long after, the black light was swallowed by the blue and white light. Only the blue and white light was left between heaven and earth. After a long time, when the blue and white light dimmed, the scene inside slowly became clear. Wu Yen stood there and the fifth floor master was lying in front of him, unconscious. Ding! Congratulations to user for clearing the 5th floor of Spalier World Academy's Arena Tower. Equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points, 25,000. Character, Wu Yan's words ability. True Ancestor Bloodline, Infinite Martial Arts, Electromancer, LV5. Equipment. Gate of Wealth, Rank D, Summons. Misaka Mikoto, Katsura Hinajaku Ikaros, Astria, Flandra? Scarlet, Shokuho Misaki, Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku Misaka Sister, 20,000 Equipment Points, 101000 Item Points, 760000 Ability Points, 206000 Summoning Points, 375000 Level 68. The system notification rang in Wu Yan's mind, informing him that he won. Wu Yan smiled and sighed in relief. Compared to the previous 4 floors, the 5th floor master is undoubtedly much stronger. If he didn't have the true ancestor bloodline and infinite martial arts, even Wu Yan wouldn't be able to beat him. Chapter 347. When Wu Yan cleared the 5th floor, the crystal balls in the arena tower lit up, attracting the attention of all the students in the arena tower. Special Student Wu Yan cleared the 5th floor. Special Student Wu Yan cleared the 5th floor. Special Student Wu Yan cleared the 5th floor. The voice from the crystal ball suddenly resounded in every space of the tower of arena, causing all the students' mouths to gradually widen. Their eyes began to bulge a little. Wu Yan? Is that Wu Yan? He cleared the 5th floor. He has the ability to get into the top 10. Misaka Mikoto got 4th place not too long ago, and now there's someone who cleared the 5th floor. These newbies are trying to defy the heavens. Misaka Mikoto-sama seems to be very obedient to that Wu Yan. I heard he knocked her on the head a while ago on the 5th floor, and she acted like she knew she was in the wrong. Say, do you think that Wu Yan is stronger than Mikoto-sama? That's impossible. Misaka Mikoto-sama is someone who can go toe-to-toe with Princess Sylph. If Wu Yan is stronger than Mikoto-sama, doesn't that mean he's the strongest student in the academy? That's right. Princess Sylph didn't approve of Wu Yan either. Also, Kaya and Jaffer didn't pay much attention to that newbie either. Ranking in the top 10 should be his limit. Wait, what about that angel? Oh. You really believe that there are angels in this world? Why wouldn't I? A lot of special students saw it with their own eyes. Maybe it's some kind of special armament or some kind of battle technique or magic. Who knows? I really want to meet an angel. Due to the rise of Mikoto and the popularity of angels, Wu Yan's popularity dropped a little. Now, he's once again the topic of conversation in Silveria World Institute. Of course, not everyone is so indifferent. At least, Bing Mian, who has a grudge against Wu Yan, isn't happy about it. Bing Ling, on the other hand, is starting to forget about Wu Yan. Of course, there are the factions as well. After clearing the 5th floor, Wu Yen didn't go straight to the 6th floor. Only the top 10 students are allowed to move around on the 6th floor. There were only 10 people on the entire floor. At this time, there was probably no one inside. After all, these 10 people were also the leaders of their respective forces. They didn't have so much time to idle around in a place where they didn't even know if there would be enough people on the 6th floor. That's why Wu Yen returned to his mansion with the 100,000 credits reward. He has enough ability points to exchange for that ability. Pushing open the door of his villa, the scene inside the door, which is the living room, appeared in front of Wu Yen. Hinajuku, Mikoto, and Ikaros also appeared in his line of sight. Master, Ikaros noticed Wu Yen right away. She stood up from her chair and walked to his side. Every time Wu Yen appears in front of Ikaros, Ikaros would stick close to him. Ikaros' actions didn't annoy Wu Yen at all. Instead, it made him happy. You're back. Shoujo and Mikoto stood up as well. Wu Yen couldn't help but smile. He felt a faint warmth in his heart. Every time he heard the 2D girls who he used to look forward to greeting him at home, he would feel a sense of bliss and warmth. Maybe if he were to go back to his old life, Wu Yen would go crazy. He felt like he couldn't live without them anymore. Hinajuku, Mikoto, and Ikaros' heartbeat quickened, and even their cheeks started to redden. The fusion of life and soul doesn't mean the fusion of souls. When Wu Yen feels boundless love for the target of his life and soul fusion, their hearts that beat in unison with Wu Yan's heart would have such a reaction. I have to say, it's a pretty good setting. As for Shoujo, Mikoto, Ikaros, and the others who are fused with Wu Yen, do they know about this? Just by looking at their expressions, he knew. This is the thing you wanted, Ola! Quick, take a look. Mikoto stuttered to Wu Yen. Her face got redder and redder as she spoke. In the end, she just threw the ring at Wu Yen and ran away while covering her face. Shoujo and Ikaros, who stuck to Wu Yen the most, followed without hesitation. Wu Yen grabbed the ring and looked at the 3 girls running away. He was a bit confused. Why did they run away as soon as they saw him? They were so passionate just a moment ago. Women. Shaking his head, he returned to his room with an inexplicable feeling. Then, he took out the S.P.A.C. ring that Mikoto gave him. Caressing the ring, Wu Yen thought for a while. Then he put the ring away and waved his hand in the air. The system projection opened and Wu Yen clicked on Ability. After Ability, Talent, and Bloodline appeared. He clicked on Talent and found the ability he was interested in. Night never died by bare hands. Bestow the attribute of a noble phantasm to the weapon in the user's hand. No matter what kind of weapon or equipment it is, when it falls into the user's hand, it will become a D-grade equipment and a noble phantasm. If it is a D-grade equipment, it will retain its original grade and be under the user's control. Ability points, 200,000 points, that's right. This is Night Never Died by Bare Hands, Lancelot's noble phantasm in Fate. Back when he was watching Fate, he felt more than once that Gate of Babylon and Night of Undying Barehanded were a perfect match made in heaven. Wait, it's a noble artifact. The more noble phantasms there were in the Gate of Babylon, the more powerful it would be. On the other hand, the Night Never Died by Bare Hands could turn any equipment into a noble phantasms, including pillars, sticks, shovels, and even fighter jet. If these 2 pieces of equipment were used together, then it would be a perfect match. Although the Night Never Died by Bare Hands ability could only turn normal equipment into D-grade equipment, but even if it was only D-grade equipment, as long as there were enough of them, it could be filled up into an A-grade legendary weapon. The only thing is, how long will it take to do that? Previously, Wu Yen had asked the system if Armament and Noble Phantasm would have the same effect in Gate of Babylon. The system's answer is that Armament can also increase the power and level of Gate of Babylon. However, if it is a Noble Phantasm, then the increase in power and level will be greater than that of armament. Coincidentally, Knight Never Died by Bare Hands has another ability, which can turn normal equipment into a noble phantasm. Even if there is a certain level of armament, after being turned into a noble phantasm by Knight Never Died by Bare Hands, its power will be more or less increased. After all, a noble phantasm is the ultimate weapon known as materialized miracle. It is the crystallization of longing. Even if armament and noble phantasm are of the same level, the power of a noble phantasm will be stronger. Besides that, Knight Never Died by Bare Hands has another good effect. That is, the equipment that has been turned into a noble phantasm after being turned into a noble phantasm can only be used by the user. Even if someone takes it away, the noble phantasm will automatically return to the user. With all these effects, Wu Yen decided to exchange for Knight Never Died by Bare Hands. Although he did not know why a noble phantasm that was originally an equipment would become a talent ability, he did not have to worry about it being taken away. Chapter 348. Knight Never Died by Bare Hands. Bestow the attribute of a noble phantasm to the weapon in the user's hand. No matter what kind of weapon or equipment it is, when it falls into the user's hand, it will become a D-grade equipment and a noble phantasm. If it is a D-grade equipment, it will retain its original grade and be under the user's control. Ability points: 200,000 points. When Wu Yen clicked on the exchange button, a red light suddenly appeared in front of him and split into two, shooting into his hands. The red light attached to the back of Wu Yan's hand. After a while, it turned into two bright sword marks made of dots. The moment the sword marks were formed, a new Knight Never Died by Bare Hands ability appeared in Wu Yan's ability bar. This proved that Wu Yen had obtained this ability. He clenched his fists and looked at the two dots forming the sword mark. He felt like there's something brewing inside, waiting for him to come into contact with it. After pondering for a while, Wu Yen reached out his hand and snapped his fingers. As Wu Yen moved, a spatial ripple suddenly appeared behind Wu Yen, and a crimson spatial door appeared behind Wu Yen. At the same time, Meteor Knight and Nine Temple of Shana slowly emerged from the crimson spatial door. Wu Yen pulled out the Gate of Babylon. When Meteor Knight and Nine Temple of Shana fell into Wu Yan's hands, the two sword marks on the back of his hand suddenly flashed. A strange wave invisible to the naked eye came out of the sword marks and then wrapped around the Meteor Knight and Nine Temple of Shana. Red lines that looked like veins crawled on the Meteor Knight and Nine Temple of Shana. The red veins flashed on the two weapons and then disappeared from their surfaces, sinking into their inside. Wu Yen felt that the Meteor Knight and Nine Temple of Shana seemed to have become a little old. Moreover, a vague aura was emitted from the Meteor Knight and Nine Temple of Shana. At this moment, the Meteor Knight and Nine Temple of Shana had turned into noble phantasms. In the next moment, something unexpected happened. Nine Temple of Shana suddenly shook violently. Wu Yen was shocked as the blade suddenly flashed with a red light. Then, a scorching flame suddenly ignited on the blade. What's going on? Wu Yan's wine-red eyes were filled with surprise as he looked at the red lotus flame that enveloped the Nine Temple of Shana. Could it be that because it has turned into a noble phantasm, the Nine Temple of Shana now possesses the ability of the red lotus flame? Wu Yen was pleasantly surprised as he held up the burning Nine Temple of Shana. No matter what, the Nine Temple of Shana's power has increased greatly. This is an indisputable fact. Using the system to determine the rank of the Nyetan no Shana, it was still C rank. The only difference was that the Nyetan no Shana used to be in the lower middle of C rank. But now, even if it wasn't as good as Ikaros Apollo, which was infinitely close to B rank, it wasn't too far off. What a pleasant surprise! Wu Yen tried to control the flames on the Nine Temple of Shana. Perhaps it was because the Nine Temple of Shana had become a noble phantasm. Wu Yen was able to control the flames on the Nein Temple of Shana smoothly. He slowly removed the flames and the Nein Temple of Shana returned to its original bright appearance. Perhaps no one would have thought that this small, Nein Temple of Shana contained enough power to turn the entire mansion into ashes. He turned around and threw the meteor shower and the transformed Nein Temple of Shana into the Gate of Babylon. Wu Yen did not immediately close the Gate of Babylon. Instead, he took out the previous infinite space ring. He stroked the surface with one hand and a large mass of black gravel appeared in the middle of the room. Almost at the same time, Wu Yan's body flashed with a strong electric light. The electric light flashed frequently in the room, and an electromagnetic force suddenly acted on the sand in the air, stopping them from falling. When the electric light on Wu Yan's body flashed again, the black sand moved in the air and formed black iron sand swords. Wu Yan's goal was to use the Night Never Died by Bare Hands ability to turn these iron sand swords into noble phantasms to fill up the Gate of Babylon treasury and upgrade it. Since no matter what equipment it was, after being transformed by the Night Never Died by Bare Hands ability, it would be a waste of the Night Never Died by Bare Hands ability if he did not properly mass-produce the Night Never Died by Bare Hands ability. The iron sand swords formed by the special sand should belong to the category of weapons. The reason why he used the special sand is to make the iron sand swords less fragile after they become noble phantasms. Thus, Wu Yen began his long journey of touching the iron sand swords. After some time, when Wu Yen was transforming the swords into noble phantasms, a group of guests came to the villa. A group of guests that surprised Shoujo, Mikoto and the rest. There were about 20 of them. They were not wearing the student's uniform, nor the teacher's uniform. Instead, they were wearing a tight black suit. They wore a badge with the word Ji on their chest. Each of them had a strong aura, proving that they were not to be trifled with. They were the law enforcement team of the Spalier World Academy. Shoujo and Mikoto looked at each other and frowned. Although the two of them had not been in the academy for long, they were familiar with the academy's rules. Logically speaking, the enforcement team would only appear when a student or a teacher violated the rules set by the academy, such as private fights and the like. Now that the law enforcement team appeared in the villa, could it be that they were here to arrest someone? Hinajuku took a step forward, looking at the middle-aged man leading the group, and asked hesitantly, "Is there anything I can help you with?" The middle-aged man looked around and he asked with an expressionless face, "Is the new special student Wu Yen here?" Hearing this, Hinajuku raised an eyebrow, and her face darkened. "He's busy. If you have something to say, you can tell us first." The middle-aged man's face didn't change in the slightest as he spoke to Hinajuku in a businesslike manner. "Call him out, let him come with us." Shoujo and Mikoto were shocked. Ikaros raised her head and her indigo pupils shrunk and expanded to a deep red color. An unusually heavy aura emitted from her body. The law enforcement team could not help but feel their chests tighten. Their faces also became serious. "Wait, Ikaros." Shoujo grabbed Ikaros's hand. Her heart was beating faster because she knew that if the law enforcement team was really here for Wu Yen, then this girl who treated Wu Yen as her everything would see the law enforcement team as her enemy. One shot and they would be finished along with the academy. At that time, they would be in big trouble. "Hold on, Ikaros. Let's talk after we get to the bottom of this," Hinajuku said softly, her hand gripping Ikaros's hand tightly. Her meaning was obvious. If they were really here for Wu Yen, then we'll make our move. Ikaros scanned the law enforcement team. She looked at Shoujo and her eyes turned back to indigo. Shoujo and Mikoto sighed in relief. Mikoto quickly said, "You're here to arrest Yen?" Yen didn't do anything against the academy's rules. The middle-aged man looked at Ikaros deeply and said, "No, we're not here to arrest him. The council wants to see Wu Yen." Chapter 349. The blood-red veins rippled on the surface of the iron sand sword and slowly changed the nature of the iron sand sword. The Knight Never Died by Bare Hands ability continued to work on the iron sand sword. It didn't take long for the veins to return to the iron sand sword's body. Wu Yen turned the last iron sand sword into a noble phantasm and threw it into the gate of Babylon on his back. He let out a sigh and shook his hands. After a few hours of repetitive actions of taking, holding, and throwing, Wu Yan's hands almost got cramped. Now Wu Yan finally understood what it's like to be able to count money until your hands get cramps. Character: Wu Yan abilities: True Ancestor Bloodline, Endless Martial Training, Knight Never Died by Bare Hands, Electromancer, LV5, Equipment: Gate of Babylon, Rank C, Summons, Misaka Mikoto, Katsura Hinajaku Ikaros, Astria, Flandra? Scarlet, Shokuho Misaki, Kanuhata Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku, Misaka Sisters, 20,000 Equipment Points, 101000 Item Points, 760000 Ability Points, 6,000 Summoning Points, 375000 Level, 68. Close to 1,000 D-grade iron sand swords, the Gate of Babylon leveled up without any surprise. However, Wu Yan is a bit disappointed. Logic tells him that the Gate of Babylon can only be upgraded to C rank after the iron sand sword. But, if possible, he still hopes that the rank of the Gate of Babylon can be upgraded a bit higher, preferably to B rank. After all, according to the system's analysis, the shiny Gate of Babylon in Fate was a Tier B gold armament. Of course, gold armaments are divided into different ranks. Even if Wu Yan used a large amount of rank D equipment to upgrade Gate of Babylon to a gold armament, it would still be inferior to the shiny Gate of Babylon. The lowest grade equipment in the shiny Gate of Babylon is rank D. There are a lot of rank C equipment, and even rank EA equipment is rank B. It's close to rank A equipment. His Gate of Babylon with a large number of D-grade equipment won't win, but it's still better than an empty Gate of Babylon that can only be used as a space storage item. Stretching his back, he walked out of the room and opened the door. The moment he opened the door, a small pink fist came from the other side of the door and landed on his chest, stunning him for a moment. Shoujo! Wu Yan looked at Shoujo, who was also shocked. Shoujo's fist was still in a hammering position on his chest. Wu Yan rolled his eyes. What are you doing? Did I offend you? Shoujo was shocked. She quickly withdrew her fist and said embarrassedly, No, I was going to knock on the door. I didn't expect you to come out. I can't help it. Knock on the door? You're looking for me? What's the matter? After 3 question marks, Shoujo finally remembered why she was here. Shoujo said to Wu Yan, I'm not the one looking for you. Is it the enforcers? The enforcers? Wu Yan flinched. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and said in an annoyed tone, I don't steal, I don't rob, and I don't flirt with innocent women. Why would the enforcers come looking for me? Are they so bored that they can casually drag people over for coffee and gossip? Shoujo was furious when she heard Wu Yan's perfunctory words. She retracted her fist and this time, it hit Wu Yan's chest. Wu Yan was short of breath. Why are you still so indecent at a time like this? Seeing that Shoujo's other hand was about to hit him, Wu Yan quickly waved his hand and said, Okay. It's my fault. Don't hit me. Hinajaku rolled her eyes at him before frowning her pretty eyebrows and helplessly saying, The enforcers don't seem to be here to cause trouble for you. They said the council wants to meet you. The council? This time Wu Yan was really shocked. The council was the highest authority in the Spalier World Academy. It was made up of 3 deans and 9 elders. Every one of them was a rank 9 powerhouse. An old guy of this level wants to see me? Wu Yan furrowed his brows as well. Did the enforcers say anything about the council? Why would they want to see me? I asked. Shoujo shook her head. But they said they don't know. Shoujo looked at Wu Yan and said, Yan, do you want to go? Wu Yen lowered his head and pondered. I think I should go. Although I don't know what the council's purpose is, it's still the highest authority in the Spalier World Academy. It's good to go. As soon as Wu Yen finished his words, Shoujo immediately said, We'll go with you. Wu Yen smiled and rubbed Hinagiku's pink hair. No need. If the board wanted to cause trouble for me, the enforcers wouldn't have waited for you to call for me, they would have just come upstairs to arrest me. I can go alone. But… Shoujo lowered her head worriedly. Wu Yen couldn't help but laugh. He reached out and hugged Shoujo. Shoujo's worried expression turned into shyness. She pressed her hands against Wu Yan's chest and said angrily, How dare you take advantage of me? I'm hugging my own wife. How is that taking advantage? Wu Yen said in a righteous tone. He pressed his forehead against Hinagiku's, causing her to blush. She swallowed back the words of complaint she was about to say. Wu Yen chuckled. The people from the board came knocking on my door. If I don't go, it might be a problem. Also, Sister Fei Fei said that the enforcers are very stubborn. The board specifically asked to see me, but they didn't mention you guys. Even if you guys come along, they won't let you guys go. Hearing this, Hinagiku fell silent and said helplessly, Then be careful. Wu Yen rolled his eyes at Shoujo. It's not like we're going to the behemoth forest. What's there to be careful about? The council won't do anything to me. Shoujo wanted to say something, but Wu Yen interrupted her. All right. You guys wait here for me to come back. With that, he took Hinagiku's hand and went downstairs. Yen. Mikoto, who had been staring at the stairs, called out when she saw Wu Yen coming down. The enforcers all turned to look at Wu Yen. The middle-aged man sized up Wu Yen and asked indifferently, You're Wu Yen? I am. Wu Yen pulled Mikoto's hand and told her not to worry. He walked up to the middle-aged man. Looking at the 20 enforcers, Wu Yen secretly praised them. All 20 of them were at the peak of the 7th rank. The middle-aged man was at the 8th rank. Only this kind of enforcers could suppress the young masters of the academy. The president of the council wants to see you, come with us, Wu Yen nodded. Ikaros wanted to walk to Wu Yan's side, but Shoujo pulled her back. She could only watch with teary eyes as Wu Yen followed the enforcers away. Mikoto hesitated for a bit before asking Shoujo, Shoujo, are we going to run? Shoujo rolled her eyes. Yen said those people aren't here to cause trouble. We're just overthinking things. But I still feel a bit uncomfortable. Mikoto bitterly smiled and said with a bit of anger, Damn it, Shokuho Misaki, I don't know where she went. I don't want to admit it, but if she was here, she would be able to come up with an idea. Hearing Mikoto's words, Hinagiku couldn't help but frown and helplessly said, That's true, it's been a few days since the school started, and in these few days, not only did they not come once, I don't even know where they went, there's no news at all. They must be up to no good. No doubt about it. It's obvious that Mikoto's hatred for Shokuho Misaki is off the chart. Shoujo couldn't help but laugh dryly.